Bing. Okay.
It was hard to hear everybody talk in the last video. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Is it that you came to?
Yes, it is. I meant to write back to you. Yes.
No, that's okay. I didn't expect you to. I was just like, it was just so
Yes, I think so. There's that, and then there's Sanpen has a palliative care unit,
Okay.
but that's it.
It's
yeah.
relatively just need to find a way there after he.
Yes, it is, and it's its own building. So you'll it's on Richmond. Anyways, I'll draw you a little map maybe later. Or you just anyways.
Wait.
Fine. Yeah.
I can, did you drive here? If you want to follow me, I pass it on the way home anyway.
Oh yeah, what color's your car?
Gold.
Okay. Yeah, I think that could work. Sure. Thank you both.
And then you just turn off like the street before Fort. You turn in, and you'll see the big sign on the side of the building.
I can take you to Royal Jubilee. I don't know where.
Victoria Hospice is just where
Is it right in front of it? Like
so
the
it's
hospice?
like where so like Bay and
Yeah, that's
Richmond
the
is like
hospital.
where the hospital. So then the next intersection down, there's lights. I think it's called like Coronation Street or something like
Yes,
that.
I know what you're talking
It's
about.
that if she turns into the hospital there, it's right there, the Richmond Pavilion.
Thank you both.
Anyways.
I'll also pull up a map.
Yes,
and then I'll
totally.
know what you're saying.
There's a sign.
And there's a sign on the side of the
Yeah.
building.
Is it like you can drive in and then it's like a little.
Just like a little mini parking lot
I
there.
know where it is.
Yes.
I'll drive. I drive right past it.
Oh, you're
It's
not
amazing.
parking,
It's
so-
amazing that I
Parking is
don't know
crazy.
exactly what it is,
Yes.
where it is, but
Yes, no, I know, but it's like in your
I'm
subconscious.
like,
'cause
yeah,
you've
I know.
driven
It's
past
like
it
kind
so
of
many times.
yellowy and like.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, got it.
Thank you guys.
Oh, I don't think Rihanna even nobody can see you.
Oh yeah, I'll lean back a wee bit.
You're
And
like
then,
besties.
there, that's better.
Well, now I can't see you.
No, it's okay. There, here I am.
There's a little piece of your face.
And then, yeah, I think we're all in. Okay.
So.
I have a confession. I didn't do the homework.
What's
I'm
the
sorry.
homework?
Like
Oh.
going over and coming up with ideas for the skit. I didn't do it.
Damn it, Allison.
I typed it all up so it's there in my brain, but
Oh, good for you.
so I'll add it too.
That's work.
The whole project is ruined.
It's like
Wow.
That's
It's all on your shoulders.
yeah, exactly.
That's doing
Anyways,
something
I am
important.
Okay.
No specific pressure.
Check in because we always do that. It's
Mhm.
consistent with our group, and not the checkout, not anything else, just
Hold
the
on to
check-in.
those norms.
Yeah. Does anyone feel like going first? You breathe. So we.
Yes, I did. I sighed. I am feeling like today I am at the end of like 9 days of like having something every day. Like it's just been like going. And like lots of really, really early mornings, and I'm not very good at early mornings unless I just get to stay in my jammies. And I haven't been able to do that, so. But it's been a lot of really good stuff. So I was volunteering with the psychosocial care of the bereaved and the dying last week for that Victoria Hospice puts on. It's like a conference sort of thing, and so that was super interesting. And I got to like sit in on like a $900 course, just to like, you know what I mean, like. Yeah, so that was really cool. Lots of really interesting information, So it was like really filling, but then also like lots of sort of emotional stuff. So there was that, and then last weekend we had the course, and so I didn't get a weekend at all, and so I just felt like I feel like today is it, and then I've like, anyways. But I have an exam next week, so I'm just feeling like.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's the totally right sound. So here I am. I'm happy to be here, but
Thanks for being here.
yeah. So rather, I'm feeling excited about being here, wanting to be present. So just grab me if I'm like somewhere else. Yeah,
Thanks.
totally. I wish we had a ball. We could like toss the
I'll go
ball.
next. I'm feeling really good. I had a good week with orientation for work. It was this position that I applied for, that I accepted. I wasn't really sure what I'd be doing. So I'm going to be doing more nursing skills than I thought. But it's okay because it's not acute, so it's not going to be crazy busy with like 6 or 7 patients and had this. So it'll be easier. It's an interest. I'll just talk about it briefly. So it's a new unit where we're actually receiving patients or clients who are kind of falling through the cracks and they get stuck in the system, particularly in hospital.
I'm sorry, could I just quick, is it Royal Jubilee or?
It's Glengarry Hospital.
Oh, it's like right by my house.
Yes. Oh.
Please go on, I'm super fascinated.
Yeah, so it'll be complex care. It'll be brain injury, which is not my favorite. Yeah, it's a challenge. Definitely mental health, chronic, and some physical. But we're going to be doing more rehab focus. So we're moving them. They get stuck in the hospital. They don't get the adequate care that they need really to move them on, but they can't discharge them.
Is it kind of like transition?
It's a transition unit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I worked in transitions. That's where my office was. It was like a whole mix of. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it'll be good. And we've got OTs, social workers, of course, and rec therapists, activity therapists, people there doing personal care and whatnot. And so it's going to be. So it was exciting because we're all learning and getting to know each other for the first time and developing a culture that's a new culture.
A group?
Yes.
A group process?
And so it was like the first time we met, the manager's talking to us about it, and I just like all the stuff that's in this program, right? And I think, man, this is such a great opportunity to, come together and really take ownership of this and really support one another, and it won't fly, it won't succeed if we don't do that. So it was just really cool, and I'm actually quite excited about the people we'll be working with and the challenge of it too. So I'm excited about that.
It's really
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. This course is actually really connected to a lot of things in my life right now. Where I'm living, where I'm working, Yeah, okay, I could talk forever. There's other stuff that happened this week that was really exciting to me, but yeah, it's good. She threw the ball. It doesn't have to be you, I'm just, it's that whole progress thing.
I'm feeling kind of like you. It's been like 3 weeks of like just not stopping and like not taking like more than an hour to myself. So another week of that. My boyfriend's brother comes from Nashville tonight, so I'm also hosting, which I'm super excited for. I'm actually excited to see him, but I'm just like exhausted and I feel a little bit bad. But I'm excited to be here. Get some stuff on the skip. She threw the ball with her eyes.
I want Lear to hear what I have to say because he was wondering what was happening. So I just want to inform him.
Okay. So jump over. What? He wants to wait until Lear gets here. Until he jumps in.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that.
So.
No, I was reading the question.
Yeah, my week's been good. I got offered a position at the volunteer place that I had applied for, so yay. It's a crisis line in Victoria.
Is it funny? It's Crisis Line.
Me too.
God, they have a good reputation.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh,
So I'm thrilled for you.
cool.
Yeah, so
That will be
super excited. And so I found out I didn't get into the master's program here at UVic, but that's okay. I actually didn't feel as upset as I thought I would. And I still haven't heard about the 3 summers program. I applied for September and the May program, so I'm still waiting about the May program. But I'm taking the opportunity to stay in Victoria and take more psych courses and kind of up my transcript, and because I have a creative writing undergrad, so it's kind of I don't really have a stellar I'm in psychology sort of base. Yeah, so it's good though because I wasn't too sure I wanted to go to UVic for the master's. I kind of want to get a doctorate at the Adler School in Vancouver.
Oh, I've heard good things.
Yeah,
Very
so
pricey though.
Yeah. So right now I'm kind of like, I don't know what my life is.
Your
gonna
doors
be
are
like.
still all open.
Yeah, but I have no real knowledge of where I want to go. Like, it's really expensive to go to Adler, but like they've got a good program. One of only 2 in Canada, the society program.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, don't know what I'm doing, don't know where I'm going, but like I'm excited, and yeah, I really feel like I'm getting a lot of opportunities to like start to work in the field of counseling, and so kind of get a lot of hands-on experience, which is really cool. So. Oh yeah. So as for here, I'm good. I'm checked in. I came in hot, but I'm ready to go now. So.
Hot?
Yeah, I was running. I was like, okay.
Awesome.
But I got
Can
here.
I ask a totally off-topic question?
Tell
What are
me.
you drinking?
Pumpkin patch
Oh.
from David's
I
Tea.
just love them. I like just recently started
Oh, yeah.
drinking them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love them. They're more expensive than like
Yeah, totally.
but they're so worth it because it's just like good tea.
Anyways,
And-
sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to. Just wanted to.
Yes. I treat myself once in a while.
Yeah,
David's
totally.
Tea.
I got one of those packs for Christmas, like the variety.
Yeah,
Oh,
variety.
nice.
Yeah, so good.
Except that one. Oh, never mind. There's one that smells like dog and whiskey and
No, I want to know
cigarettes.
what is this.
I don't. It's just so gross.
Toronto Street.
I will look up the name and I'll send it to you. Don't do it. So
Okay,
bad.
good to know.
Whiskey,
$11 on like
Yeah,
right,
right,
and then
yeah.
you're- yeah.
Cigarettes, that sounds awful. How much was that cup?
I actually got it for free because my mom got me like a coupon for like a free tea for Valentine's Day. So it's free, but they're $3
Okay.
for a cup, and so it's like it's more expensive than Starbucks or whatever. But you know, if you get it once in a while, it's like so good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Plus, I do it at home myself, so I'm a frequent steeper. So every once in a while, they give me free tea. Makes me feel better.
I love that.
Yeah, they call it that, don't they? Yeah.
I'm a steamer.
Anyway, please.
I had an amazing week. Holy cow.
Oh, good.
Many things, many emotions, like lots of joy, lots of grief, lots of, oh my god, this is going fast.
Lear.
Maybe I need.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
Hey.
Sorry. Totally forgot about the group meeting. I rushed over here.
Were you on campus?
Huh?
He shaved.
Yeah.
I know, I was like, you look groomed up.
I didn't know. I was like,
I went to a wedding.
Oh,
nice.
Oh. He's like, oh, I got married.
It was my
But I
wedding.
didn't know. Sorry.
Sorry, Raina was just checking.
Raina was checking it.
Yeah, maybe would you mind to go and then I can have my thoughts, not so
Sure. Yeah,
I
sure.
didn't want to
The hectic weekend, kind of, I don't know. I saw Lear, we were doing my exams. Like, I still went to school, I'm like, I feel really bad, I'm gonna do my exams. My friends are trying to tell me to leave, but then I went straight to the hospital after. And I was in emergency for 8 hours. It was awful. But then so I've been kind of recuperating. But I have my energy back because I did get 2 units of blood just to kind of go on. And I've changed my diet around just so I can kind of last until something happens. Because it was the worst possible timing because my doctor was on holiday. So I didn't know what to do. So I just kind of went to an emergency anyways. So he's back tomorrow, so I can get back on track.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm feeling okay. Happy to be here. Like, I was pumped to come. Like, ideas. Like, we're gonna get started on this game. It's gonna be fun. I brought my spider, Mr. Tickles, over there.
I love it.
So I brought him for inspiration / support. Usually he's like perched in the corner of my room, like top corner. I just pin him up there. Yeah, I didn't get down as many ideas as I wanted to, but I still have some kind of. I think that's it.
I really like your sweater.
Yeah, it actually looks really nice on
Thank
you.
It
you.
was really like artsy and sensitive.
Sensitive. Wow. I'll keep that in mind.
I'll try to be extra sensitive today.
I tried to match my gloves to my socks.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So cool. Anyway, we have you two left, so.
I
Sure. I'm feeling really good. I dropped like the only class that was like really stressing me out. So
You dropped it?
Yeah, I dropped it. So, like it was like the last day before I get failed. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna risk it.
You guys are so mad at you.
She was pretty mad. Yeah.
That's girlfriend.
No.
No, she was on the conference. So,
She's my presenting partner.
yeah.
And
she's,
she's
it was
also
only,
in that
it was
class.
only me and her in that class. Including you.
Oh.
And I bailed on her. And did she drop it? No.
No, I told her, I'm like, persevere.
No, I was literally like, the exam was on Thursday, and I was like, I didn't know where to go from there, so I was like, I'm just gonna drop it and do it somewhere else. Yeah, so I got like the biggest weight lifted off my shoulder.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it felt really good. And yeah, and then this weekend, kind of partied. I went out last night. And this Friday, I'm kind of like, I forgot. Totally blanked out.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm feeling like way better, and I shaved obviously. So.
You seem lighter.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing really else with me. Yeah, school's going pretty well now because I dropped that. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I had a really interesting, super intense week, and I feel kind of similar to all of you guys. Well, the video thing.
Don't undo the work I'm doing.
Yeah, it was wildly intense my week. Just feels everything's like going. And lots of it is new stuff. It's really, wow, a lot of processing, and I am not saying anything concrete. I'm sorry. Okay, so there's this job I really wanted to get, and it just kind of came up in this chaotic, frantic way. So I manically got this letter of interest and resume ripped off, and brought it in, and because there's no email. Anyway, this whole story came out. So I got super aggressive, as I do, and a little bit relentless in kind of pursuing it because I really wanted it. And finally, after 3 times, one day into the crisis response team's office, they called me back, and I have an interview.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. I also had some pretty heavy news. Still sort of like, whoa. A dear friend of mine who was a professor for many, many years, personally, he's an existential psychologist, an incredible man. He's very ill, so he's actually just being moved today to hospice. So I got to see him yesterday, which is good, and I'll see him again today. So yeah, there's lots going on. Other wonderful things too. Lovely South American man is, yes, lovely.
And it used to be lovely.
Like a love interest?
Yes.
It's nice.
Yeah. It is exciting. And that's the other thing. I kind of, in class with Shanti, she said something really cool that I've been for a couple months trying to understand, but until I had the words, I couldn't. So she was talking about having a multicultural consciousness. So that being the ability to have maybe 3 or more cultural consciousnesses in mind at the same time. I don't know if you remember that, but so I just, in my personal life, as I mentioned, I'm kind of trying to find my way into these. For him, it's 3 cultures: the Japanese and South American, and this mishmashed Canadian something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to have it named, and I can find my way better in that way. It's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad to be here. I watched the video. I did not do too much other work, but in terms of great, fantastic ideas, I'm counting on you guys.
I got some ideas.
She was giggling yesterday, all her little ideas she had.
I laughed out loud in my room alone with my roommates probably going,
What's going on over here?
She's crazy.
yeah. They wouldn't be
this class.
wrong. They wouldn't be wrong. A little bit on the edge. Aren't we all?
Yes, totally.
It's a fine line.
It's a
genius.
fine line. I know. No,
Walk
it's
it.
true. It's true.
It'd be great.
So how do we want to proceed? Are we going to go straight into working on stuff?
I felt like we had a good momentum at the end there when we kind of got the ball rolling on what we were like kind of going through. The things you typed out, or all the notes we had.
They're all in a Google Doc, but I think I just kept them all in here.
Oh, from
okay.
No, from from the meeting, and like all the stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right. I typed out all the stuff from in class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
And
think
then
we
I
were
also
going
have-
through that and just kind of like spouting off ideas and stuff. I made a couple notes, but they're on my computer. But I kind of prefer it if I can just like play off each. Like that's how I get the energy of like, oh yeah, I like your idea and going off of it. So that's how I was thinking of doing it. But any other ideas or?
Yeah, I like improvisation as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my strong suit is.
Yeah.
Seems to be, yeah. You're good on the fly, like, yeah, that's fine.
Like I just shaved and it was like.
You know what? Here it comes.
Killed it.
I don't know what that was.
Did you intend to shave it all off, or did you think?
No, I screwed it.
Yeah,
No, I was like trimming my goatee.
Yeah.
I was like trimming it, and then I was just like, zzz, and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, alright, it's coming
It's all
all.
coming out.
And I was like, yeah, it looked really different. I looked like a child. When
I
saw
don't,
myself.
the thing is though, I don't remember what you looked like before. Like I don't remember what your facial hair looked like.
I had like a thicker goatee, and then like I had
Okay.
like
Facial hair's like that though.
Yeah, you see it, but then like when it changes, you're like,
Yeah.
there's something different about you, but I
Totally.
can't name it.
My husband always has hurt feelings that I don't realize that he shaved. He'll be like, and I'm like, he's like, I shaved everything. I'm like, oh
yes, my bad.
looks good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like makeup.
I don't know why facial hair's like that. But, you know.
It's not that.
Yeah, exactly.
5 o'clock showers like the third day.
Third day?
Huh?
Okay, so it's not like from yesterday.
No, I shaved.
Third day a clock shadow.
I shaved on Friday. Yeah, on Friday.
Oh, doesn't grow that fast.
It's not bad.
So I'm excited.
You start shooting, and then it'll maybe start like a.
So I love the idea of Nathan being like the scientist. So, because then I don't know if you're comfortable with this.
Oh my gosh, you have
Okay, looks like you are comfortable. Okay. You're already getting into it. That's awesome. So then, okay, so I was like, okay, so you're the one kind of who opens it up, right? And kind of like, okay, we can play around with the opening and whatnot. But it was like, okay, so you'd say something like, oh, normally spiders are solitary creatures, choosing to arrange your webs and individualistically. But in our lab, okay, something like some atypical behaviors emerging. So kind of going into like now these spiders are cooperating in a group, right? So we can bring in the concepts and theory into that, like of whether spiders are more productive alone in isolation or cooperatively for building a lab or whatever.
Oh.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if we have, say, like the one classroom or the stage, I think there has to be a reason that we can't do individual webs. So it should be like, oh,
Yeah.
there's not enough space for each of us to do an individual web. We have to do this
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're put together by circumstance or whatever.
Is somebody writing notes?
No, so my can I just go off that?
Yeah.
My thought as you were talking was that it would be like that his experiment, because it's almost like the class itself is an experiment.
Whoa.
So
Yeah,
so that your experiment
Yeah.
is that so normally we keep these spiders each in their separate.
But let's see what happens
Like,
when we put them
let's see
together.
what happens when we put them together
Yeah.
in whatever this terrarium or whatever spiders live in,
So
and then like in the lab, and we've put them all into one thing, and we're gonna watch and see what happens, and then you could say like, and see if we can, you could just say something like, and see if we can like outline a theory of cooperative spider engagement or something like that, like.
Yeah.
You know.
process and
Yeah.
like
Yes,
a spider's,
exactly.
spider's environment, but
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
spiders.
Yeah.
So
Does that make sense? Because then it would be like the idea is that we're all spiders, and we don't know why we're all in here together, but we are.
We have to be, and
And
we
we,
work together.
yeah, and our
I like
instinct is to build a web.
that. Yes, like why not?
Like to share the web.
Yeah.
If you don't want to.
Yeah.
I think we should also incorporate, like, this is a really good idea. I think we should also, no, my idea, that was a great idea.
That's a great idea, guys. I'm about to say
about
something.
to.
Everyone hold the mic. You're fine.
It's not my idea, your guys' idea is really good. No, I was saying, like, to throw into that. Shit, no, I forgot.
We just made fun of you too.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great idea.
So,
I'm ready.
so we should incorporate that, like, the reason why we're picking spiders is because, like, we kind of, like, chose through Nathan that Nathan has, you know, he's, like, the spider expert, so we should, like, throw that
Speak
around.
to that.
Yeah, speak to that, like, somehow
Mhm.
make it relevant. That
Yeah. I
we
agree.
have a very good understanding of spiders,
Yes.
and so he's good enough to be the research candidate. You know?
I agree because I was walking
Yeah,
walking
that's
to my
good.
house. I was like, why are like the whole class could be like, why are they being spiders?
Yeah.
I think we have to give context to that and say like or somehow say like in like our group we were talking about like how we were getting to know each other or something, and we found out that Nathan really liked spiders and
And arrested our group, and that's all we could
yes,
focus on.
Yeah.
the whole time.
And then we came back to it when we were working on the skit, so it just.
But I don't know how to say
So,
that.
but when
within
are we
the story.
gonna?
Or sorry, just going
Yeah,
to
go.
keep up with that is, I think maybe we don't have to say it so directly. We can also, but and I see the confusion in trying to how do we express that. We can also demonstrate it like a little bit with words and Nathan's big Mr. Tickles. Like,
Yeah. Or even
how
some,
we could be part of it. How? Well, let's figure that out.
or even some,
That's a good question.
yeah, like it could be like, for instance, we could show slides of like like spiders and like some, you know, some sort of,
Nathan's
No,
red.
it's okay. I'm just going.
just like, you
Yeah,
know,
my question is kind of like, I don't know if that's necessary. Like, they might be like, why did they choose spiders? But that might be something we could like address at the end. It's not really,
Yeah.
like you know, like if they have
yeah,
questions,
and
like
be
why
like,
did you choose
yes.
spiders? Well, actually, he's a total spider expert.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
as opposed to
This
being like,
thing
before
chose
we
us.
start, don't freak out. We're not crazy, or do you know? I know that's
Yeah.
not what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I guess I kind of wonder. I feel like it'll kind of take away from the excitement of us just being a totally like. I think to kind of have them on edge, like why?
Yeah.
Why? What
spiders?
spiders?
Like,
And then speak
or
to it,
just
yeah.
they'll be like, this is really. Because I don't think anybody else is going to
Yeah.
be doing anything like. I think they're all going to be humans.
Yes.
They might be
Safe
different
bet.
kinds of humans
Yeah.
in different places, but we ain't humans.
I was kind of just
I think that's
suggesting,
really cool.
I was just kind of suggesting it
Yeah.
because like,
Sorry.
it was such a like climactic point of our group meeting.
Yes.
You know, like our first group meeting, everyone was like, "Oh, let's like talk about ourselves."
I know that we
And then it was something that was like so out of the ordinary, you know. And
Yes.
when Nathan said it, and everyone was like so interested in it.
Yeah.
So I kind of like I just wanted to enforce that point because
Yes,
it was such
totally.
it was such a climax,
Yes.
and it was a way that we kind of bonded as a group. Like we were
Yeah.
like, "Wow, like oh, we're so different and we're so unique."
Mhm.
in
And we're
some sense of-
doing that.
and this is like I think the farthest point of the unique.
Yes,
I know what you're saying by
Mhm.
like kind of trying to push it in there,
Yes,
but kind of
right.
be out of context. I like the like
Yeah.
answering it at the end because
Yeah.
Sure.
it's true. People will be like, "Why are they doing this?" But it's kind of cool. But why? And then we can answer it later. We don't have
Yes,
to
yeah.
force it in there.
And then it's gonna kind of solidify
Yes.
it. for
So I
people.
really think
Okay.
yes, I like that.
The other thing I'm just wondering about is if Nathan is the experimenter, which I love,
Mhm.
it's gonna work great. But then is he also gonna like take off his lab coat and be a spider with us in there as well?
I
Probably
didn't.
not.
I don't
I
think we
have,
should.
I have an idea for his
Okay.
involvement with us.
Yes, because then my question was just,
Yeah.
I wonder if Shanti would, or like just because he is a part of our group. I like that I like in some ways that he's almost an observer because I think
Yeah.
a lot of your role in our group is as an observer.
And then he says something.
And and then it's like
Yeah.
it's a good thing because that researcher now like can comment on or like reflect on what happens,
Yeah.
and that's a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
a lot of what Nathan is doing. Like
Okay.
most of the
Thank
time, like in our as our roles in our group, Nathan is kind of the mediator that at the end sums up what everyone is thinking and then brings a conclusion, kind of.
Yes.
And it kind of works with that role of being the researcher, you know. And,
It does. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes to all of it. But I just want to say before I forget, he's also a participant, and that needs to be held.
Yeah, yes, you're right. He is a participant.
but he is technically like he is participating, right? Because he's the researcher. He's the one that's
Yes.
he's kind of the one that's meshing the whole
Mhm.
the whole experiment together, right?
Mhm.
His participation is
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes you could like I don't know, sometimes when we're doing something, maybe you could like drop something in or like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that would help us.
Oh,
like,
yes.
you know what I mean?
Interact.
Yes, yeah, like somehow you could be, so in a way that normally, yeah, anyways, you could somehow interact, like drop something in, so in a way you wouldn't be a great researcher because you wouldn't be like totally,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Objective.
Is that totally
Oh.
objective? You'd be like helping us sometimes or like,
I actually
anyways.
No,
can
I'm
go
gonna-
on to that.
that's
I have
right.
kind of
Oh,
a
go.
good idea.
I think
Like,
Kate
if
wanted
we-
to shout something, but go.
Oh, sure.
Lear, Kate, you're next.
Okay, so I was gonna say,
Sorry.
like, you know
Oh,
how
yeah.
you guys were saying, like, he dropped something. That stuff that he's dropping could kind of symbolize, like, for instance, a good example would be storming. So, like, an object that represents storming. So, when we start storming, he drops it in, and then we as spiders are like, where did this come from, you know? And then we, like, can represent that object with that idea. Like, we'll storm about it, or, like, you know what I mean?
I like the concreteness of your thinking. It helps me to think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're
Yes,
saying.
it's very clear.
Like, and then, so it'll end up, so for example, if it's like, we want to show the storming thing, he could drop something in and then we would have a fight about it.
Yeah, and it would be representing storming, right?
Right.
And he would we could even like it could be like anything, and it could have maybe a sign on it that says like storming or something like it could be. But he's the one that's because he wants to demonstrate how the group storms. You know what I mean?
I
So he
guess,
would drop
but
it.
at the
We'll
same time, I think
demonstrate.
a lot of times he does come in with like chime in with like these things that are like changing
Clarity.
Clarity. So like if the objects were like then he would be it would be also part of our process. It would be Nathan providing clarity.
So that could work as in like a spider, because we could like be having something, and then we could all be like, well, what does that guy think in the white coat or something like that, and then we could like all look over, and then he could be like, why are you looking at me? You're not. How do you guys know? Like, or I don't know, like the way like kind of feel uncomfortable about it, like you do. We're like, please, Nathan, help us.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could and then he could say something like, well, it seems to me like what's happening here is blank, and then we'd all be like, oh, that is what's I don't know, maybe something like that. What were you gonna say?
Oh, okay. So, you know the exercise we had last time at wrapping each
Yes,
other
yes.
up and blah 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 blah. It would be cool to use that. And then I've got some, going through the steps a little bit to when we get to that point. But we did get wrapped up. You were literally wrapping us up, right? What's that?
Nothing.
Anyway, so, and then we could just be completely a tangled mess. And like we can't literally get anywhere now.
And
then-
like,
and
what
then-
was the point? in
And then
this?
you like come in, step in,
We're getting
step in and actually
It's
like
true though.
take it apart and organize it, and then, you jump out as if like it was hit the researcher's hand, trying to help us out to make sense of what we were doing, right? And then we stop and go, oh, well, that's so much better. Or something like that, where you actually come in and kind of help us tangle apart. That's just an idea.
You go ahead, Becca.
One thing I don't want to do is, because we're supposed to be commenting on our group process, I don't want it to seem like we had no idea what we were doing and then we were always looking to Nathan to
Yeah.
kind of like
Yep, you're
fix
right.
it up, because I think that's, if we all, like you gave the example of, yes?
Sorry, I have a comment on that point, but if you need to go further to
If we, sorry, I lost my place. If we all were to look at him and be like, what are we supposed to do? Then I think it would it might seem to Shanti like, were you guys like just messing
he
around?
your
Yeah,
leader?
was he like, what did he
Right.
like, did you have no idea?
That's true.
So I want to make sure it's like,
I'm just trying to think of a way
Can
that
I-
we need to
can I-
include him.
Can I speak to this point, because I have a good point to this point. So I agree with you 100%. We don't want it to look like Nathan's like masterminding the whole thing with his fabulous presence. But I really, the concreteness of what she's talking about with getting all tangled up, having someone untangled, I think that's a place where all of our individual personalities could show up. Like, I'm not sure if you're able to hear me, I'm not sure what's happening here, but
Wait, sorry, so
so
how could they show up?
okay, specifically like for myself, I can't speak for anyone else. I could, it'd be fun, but you probably wouldn't like it. So the tangling you guys up, I could untangle you, or Becca could try to organize everybody because she's good at that,
Oh, yeah.
right? Or in some concrete way, and we could think through that a little bit further. Mariah could be like super concise. I don't know, like
Mhm.
you guys are ridiculous. Come on, it's this. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the elements of all of our personalities. Am I answering your question?
I think so, yeah.
But it's just a little more imagination to demonstrate within the web is what I'm trying to further.
I think, and also we shouldn't be looking at Nathan. Like Nathan should be the observer outside of the experiment in our skin, right? Like it doesn't have to represent that Nathan wasn't part of our group process. He helps us from the outside, which is kind of like metaphorical because it actually worked out like that during our group process. Like Nathan listens. Usually, what happens is Nathan listens to our points, and then he comes up with a conclusion, and he like sums it up really well, which is a really good metaphor to him being outside of the experiment and just like fixing a problem for us that we're having. Because
Or just naming it. And
Yeah.
just to speak to that,
Or
actually
naming it,
one
yeah.
of the first, when we talked about our goals for the class, your goal was to watch human interaction. Wasn't it? Yeah. Like one of your goals was like that it
this
confuses
is
you
so
to
good.
see, especially emotional interaction
Yeah.
and that sort of things. And so that's really interesting
That's
what
good.
you're saying. I think you spoke really clearly to the role he's had. And I think you're totally right, that it's not that we are like, help us, Nathan, but just that naturally he speaks, he just observes, and then and that's totally the researcher's role, right? Like if you're just
that's what I'm saying.
naming whatever's happening, naming the experience.
Or even like changing just one little thing, and then it's like so much more clear to the rest of the group because that one thing got changed. You know what I mean? Or like so like if there is like, let's say in our web, something happens, and Nathan can like come in and undo it, but we don't act as though we see it because it's just like a random event occurring to us because we're spiders. We don't realize that this person is like
We're not that much.
we're not that conscious, and then we're conscious of the act, like the actual act, like it gets untangled or something, and we're like, whoa, like how did that is so clear, like that is the road we want to go through,
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Concrete, yeah.
Okay, guys, so maybe we could.
I didn't even think
I just think
I had so much fun with this.
we're getting a lot of ideas about like the general, like this is what we should do, but maybe we should like take
That's
it.
exactly what I was gonna say.
You
Scene
guys
one,
are like,
Nathan.
Can you finish what you were doing?
Oh no, it was just I think when you said okay guys, I was
Yeah.
like she's gonna say what I'm gonna say, but I think we just need to say like okay, first we had to norm about
Totally.
so let's go through the stages of
Yeah.
what we did chronologically and how that'll work in our skit.
Totally.
okay, what do you use? Awesome. That's awesome. The stages Mariah mentioned last time on that thingy I watched, whatever the hell that was called.
The video?
Yes. The idea of like doing a kind of united all of this is like forming, norming, storming in each kind of scene skit change. I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, but it just kind of gets in there with the naming somehow. Yeah, that's not very clear.
I'm a little lost.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay, so this is actually, I think we were actually gonna say different things now that you.
Oh,
Now that
okay.
I
Okay, cool.
what I was gonna say is, can we just start at scene one and like get it down?
Essentially.
And I think like, and as you have ideas of something, let's throw them out. Okay, this is, so like scene one, Nathan standing in the room in his lab coat with his pointer, and we're all in the hallway. Okay? And then, and you can have like Mr. Tickles or something, and be like, you could be pointing to different parts of the spider or something, but you can be talking about what you were saying. Spiders are normally solitary. Welcome to the spider lab at University of Victoria or something like that. I don't know.
Can we have a voiceover? Because I feel like that's what because if Nathan's standing there like doing his spider thing.
Oh, sure.
Um,
Give me like, watching it, it can be like, whoa.
And then we have like a voiceover of saying like, "Welcome to the Spider Lab." This is so it's not so we right away have that technology aspect.
Sure. Are you okay? Because I know. Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily have to be your voice either. It
Yeah,
could
no,
be
just
one
me.
of.
Not my voice.
That's what I was gonna say. I was
Can
gonna
I
say
throw
yeah.
in one thing? Can we use some sort of audio device, like we can get a recording or whatever of like ambience in like a laboratory? So it'll be like. Yeah, so, well, I don't mean like
glasses.
no, I'm just saying like
Oh.
I'm talking about more like maybe like a forest or something. So when we come in, it seems like inside. We can hear like the ambience of like the spiders inside the.
Okay, so that when it
Like-
changes to us
Yeah.
being inside the tank, whatever tank we even, it'll be like kind of.
Okay.
I
'Cause
don't
it's
know.
it's kind of like a scene change. You know what I
You
mean?
don't get it? No.
So like
No,
for
I don't
instance,
get it.
for
It's
instance,
like audio files.
Yeah.
Like you take files of like
Yeah.
noises in the that you'd experience in a lab or in a
Yes.
forest or like in a.
Yes.
I'm saying more like in
Because we can't
in a,
physically
To put it
visually
over-
change the scene, really.
Yeah.
It'll just be like when we're there, and when. Then I think what they're saying is let's use the audio sounds,
Yeah,
audio
audio
background
to set the
sounds
stage.
to set the stage.
Yeah, to set the setting for like when the spiders are in their habitat, and then when it's not, it's just like Nathan in a lab. You know what I mean? And it's like so we can kind of visualize it like, okay, when they're here, it's like it seems like almost like a jungle and like whatever. But when it's like Nathan speaking, it's just like a bunch of spiders inside a laboratory. You know what I
I
mean?
like this a lot.
I don't like the idea of spiders.
I
though.
have I just did an audio lab, so I have like a lot of.
You have,
I can
do you know?
And we can click a button to scene change them. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah, we do have to click the button. So you guys would be in charge of figuring out how that.
I think the best way is Nathan.
Audio.
I think if
Two.
Two. Who? Sorry, just.
They seem to have the best understanding of the audio thing.
They're in, okay. And
Yeah, we
then
can-
I just, all of us earphones these are, I'm sure.
Okay,
I mean, do you know-
I like the idea of the voiceover. I think that's good. I think that'll set the stage really well too. Like, welcome to this one. Like,
Yeah.
and where you find us today is like
Yeah, it's a
with
little
team researcher Nathan
Yeah.
working on like.
It's a little bit more like they're actually watching something as opposed to
Yeah.
just kind of be like
Totally.
with butter thing.
Totally.
Do,
Okay.
do, do, do.
Okay, so scene one: Nathan in
Everybody
lab,
else is like it? Yeah.
voiceover, sets the scene.
Just curious, everybody else is good with the voiceover? You're into it?
what,
Yeah.
what,
I think
sorry,
it, I
can I
think
just-
it must
It also
have
helps
been
Nathan not to have a big
I love
monologue at the beginning.
Yeah.
Not to have to talk for like 2 minutes straight by himself.
I'm
Super
personally
like
all
it.
Yeah,
I just was
okay.
like, looking at our faces.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the scene.
Thank you for writing this.
No.
Hey, welcome.
Are we doing that the sound changes though for scene setting?
Yeah, yeah. Are we?
Yeah.
I think my
have
feeling is
audio
that if you
separate
guys can
from-
figure that out,
We can
Then I'm
probably have
totally
audio
in for
separate from what do you call it?
Yes.
the voiceover.
Yeah. So you could go like forward and backwards to the sounds.
Yeah, and it would just be a loop of like ambient noises inside.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Now,
You can work your magic.
mad scientist.
like because we need a specific thing for something for someone to say. So how are we going to structure that? Does someone just want to do it?
the voiceover. you
Yeah.
mean? Sure. Yeah, I can do it.
Just do the intro.
Yeah, and then maybe what we can do is like, or whatever. Like, but should together write what we'd like to say.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I think that would be good.
Should we do
But
that
then I'm
now
happy
or
to.
later?
Yeah, we could do that right now. Or do we want to delegate that to like I don't know, Raina?
Thank you. I'm not sure either. I think maybe what if we could all, I don't know what to do right now. Sorry, I lost my thought.
Sure.
I feel like it might be a little bit of pressure of mental energy because in fact it might not become really clear until we're further along in what this is going to unfold.
Okay.
But if you feel like you need that to
No.
happen now,
I think we could take
We could also do a Google Doc, and maybe you could do it because you
Yes.
have everybody's emails, and then that way it could be
Yeah.
shared, and we could co-write it this week or something like that.
that.
Like someone could write out like a
I'll do
bare bones outline,
get the
and then we can
Google
add to it, edit it, different colors, and
Doc.
that could
Genius.
Aside this point, can I just throw in an idea here?
No.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
when we start off, so after Nathan starts talking, how do we introduce ourselves to the spiders? Are we gonna put on the audio cue and
this
then
would be
come
like
through?
scene 2.
Yeah, so this would be like scene 2. So we would
Okay.
change the audio, obviously, and then the ambient noises of like the spider layer or whatever.
Okay.
So, but would we come out of the door, or do you guys want to?
Be
Drop
hiding,
it.
be hiding in the room
Yeah.
at all different places and we just come out like spiders? Ah, gross!
Sorry, this is-
awesome though.
No, that's a really good idea.
They're
Like, come
everywhere.
out touching
This is what I was gonna say. I was gonna say hide behind the desk.
hiding.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
behind the
They're
desk,
everywhere.
like behind the desk.
We have it. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. I have to add one more thing because that's
Okay, add it.
awesome.
You screwed up my
instance.
point.
Go, just shout.
Okay, so I think. Oh, fuck. Sorry.
If you just say it, I think you'll be able.
Good. No, you're right. I'm sorry.
We can also add you randomly swearing in.
Sorry. Okay. So
Yeah, just
I don't know how to express
Fuck!
it. Like we arrive in, we're hiding as spiders, you know, wearing our black. We have some webby things on our face or not. But the idea was that as things progress, like at first we're storming, we kind of like don't understand each other, we don't like each other, or we're confused by each other. But as the things progress, maybe there could be one scene where out near the end where we all are uniting, which perhaps is today. Just let me finish, please. And we finish the drawings of the webs on each other's faces. It could be just two people doing it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Just like us kind of, and we could be like talking to each other and like
and
kind of bonding a bit. Is that what you were
yes.
thinking? Okay.
So it would be a complete demonstration of our group becoming a cohesive whole. And I know you want to say something, but I really want you to hear the whole idea. I see you biting your tongue, your lip. But are you following? I know you're following.
I think so.
Keep
It's a good idea. Can we?
Yes.
I've written it down. Can we bracket it and come back to it for
Yes,
like?
absolutely. Yes.
Is that okay?
how
Anyways,
many words
and you
have to
go.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Because we have ideas for a tangled scene. We have ideas for maybe like a uniting scene. Because I agree. I think we're like getting along well today. And it seems like we shared some personal information. So I totally hear you. I think there should be towards the end like a personal kind of bonding, laughing, talking about tea, but somehow translated into, you know what I mean? Just us being. I feel like we're more chilled out with each other today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I throw in something in that?
Yes.
We should also reflect the beginning scene, so the scene 2 and the spiders like come in.
Forming.
In the sense of how we actually form.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, in the beginning,
Yeah.
what happened was I think it was me
Yeah.
and you two were like we
Yeah.
came together. So we would actually like the scene
Yeah.
would be a
We're
unfolding
recruiting
of,
maybe
Yeah,
a spider.
it'd be like an unfolding of what actually happened.
Yeah.
So we would come in, and then like I would have some sort of idea, like because I had the Facebook
Yes,
idea. So I would say something like you guys would be like, oh, I don't know, you know, and it would kind of be exactly how we actually form.
When we can.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I love this idea.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on to scene.
Yeah.
So scene 1.
Me and Becca come in holding hands.
Yes, or no, you come in and be like, but I have a friend and I really want her to be in this group. Because that's what happened. She's like,
Yeah.
I really want her.
Oh,
So, but anyways, what we could do
Yes,
is,
yes.
scene 1, he does this thing, he's at the front, there's this voiceover, then you could say something about, okay, I'm going to have to choose the spiders I want to be in this
Yes.
thing. And then we could be all hiding around the room, and you could kind of start wandering around, and you could grab, the 3 of us could be all together or something, and you could grab us from behind here and just kind of pull us into the center, and then kind of step away for a bit, and you could be like kind of wandering around to pick your next spiders, and we could start talking, like, or something like that. And then, you know what I mean? I don't know. Does that?
I'm gonna go
Okay.
with your idea. I think so you have your voiceover monologue, and then you guys go, okay, these are my first participants. So you pull them out, and then you guys are kind of like, well, I think we need more people, like, and then you'll just step back and be like, okay, I'll just let them like figure this out. And you guys like, I think we need more. Does anyone want to be in our like to come
In
with
this
us?
experiment?
In
or
this
something?
experiment, yeah, or something like
Yeah,
that. And then so you're kind of like asking the audience, so it's kind of like
Yes.
breaking
I
that
like
wall.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're
Yes.
breaking that wall.
Okay.
And then kind of people will be like, oh, are they actually asking us to be like, this is uncomfortable.
Oh my god.
And then we'll have
These
like,
are the boys.
and then we'll have like, okay, well, we need some more people, and then say like, who wasn't in? Okay, I guess you guys are all in. So yes,
Yes, but you were last.
So,
And that's
You're
important.
last.
I think.
okay,
Yes,
yes,
I think so too.
Really
So
important.
we stand like we'll be like, well, I guess like we don't
If
really.
you go, I'll go.
I don't really have anything to do now, so like I guess I can come and like. But
Yeah,
I don't know,
if you
like
go,
when you
I'll
guys
go.
like,
I like
when
that.
when does this go on? Like what's the schedule like? Blah blah. blah.
Yeah.
Raina comes stands up.
How
and
long
you're
are
like,
we gonna have to be?
yeah, Raina comes up and is like, I don't know,
I don't
like
like
I'm kind of yeah, or kind of like
So whatever it's gonna be.
I'm not
translated
really
into,
I'm not
spider
really
language.
sure like
Spider
that
language.
doesn't really work for me. Should I like? And you're kind of like so you're on the edge of the
can be-
scene,
yes,
but you're
and
kind of like
My home tank is like way
so that's gonna be like super far for me.
That's
Okay.
No, my home web is like
Oh my god.
way.
I think
Can
it's
I throw in an idea here?
Yes.
Can I throw in an idea?
Go.
So
Okay, keep up. Oh,
can
have
we
to say-
also
Yeah.
since we are incorporating technology, right? And technology was the main focus
Yeah.
of our communication. Can we somehow have like all our cell phones? And we can represent that as like our Facebook communication. So we would say like, let's use cell phones or let's use spider phones.
I know, we
You know what I mean?
we can have it play on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, we
like,
can play
the
that.
8 Legs Club
Yeah.
What
or
did you?
something like
There was
that.
something you said. Sorry, please continue.
And then,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Spidey sense.
And then so like we would be like, oh, do you guys like
Do you
let's
use Spidey
those.
sense?
Yeah, do you use it? Yeah.
That was Mariah. That was Mariah. Let's give
Okay.
credit
good.
where it's
All right,
due.
so yeah, we do something like that, and we
Okay.
say, do you use it? Like, do you want to use it? And we can represent that as our technology, as our Facebook.
Yes. And
And
I'll be like,
assuming
no,
that
I'm off
everybody uses
Spidey
Spidey
sense.
sense.
I'm off
Everybody
Spidey
does.
sense,
But,
and
like,
my
richer
life
without
is
it.
richer without Spidey sense.
No, wait, there was something you said last time. It was ESP, Spidey signals or something.
Oh, I
So-
said it.
Okay, so it's similar.
Similar
But
idea.
the thing is, I think someone should say. I think Lear should say like, "Oh, what you guys don't use Spidey sense? That's what we're
Yeah.
doing. You
And
guys
it's
don't
so
use Spidey
strange.
sense.
Like,
Oh,
why would you?
yeah,
use it?
because like
Yeah.
the norm
Yes.
is to use it. And
And
Yeah, yeah,
I think more of the case, how it went down kind of was Mariah was kind of in that role, and I was kind of the role that like kind of pushed everyone towards it. And I was like, let's just do it. Let's just use Spidey sense.
Why the hell wouldn't we get a Spidey
It's
sense
way better.
page
And I'm
going?
like, and I'm like trying to convince everyone.
Yes.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And
So-
sometimes like, yeah, of course, that's what you do at university now.
Yeah, well,
Spidey
yeah.
sense.
This is what I've been in one of these experimental groups before,
Yeah.
and I
because-
totally used Spidey sense.
Yeah.
Like it just
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
it just
It's
makes
just
communication a lot easier. Yeah, it's automatic. And then you can be like,
How do
I
they
don't.
fit?
You can be like, wait, why are you asking for my Spidey sense info? Like, yeah, I have it, but like, do I? You know, that kind of thing, right? Like, just
I
yeah.
like it.
Okay.
So we can, and if you guys want, we can use it kind of like props, like our cell phones. We can just like, if you guys want, if you guys feel comfortable with this, like we can tape some sort of like pipe. What is it called? Pipe cleaner?
Yeah.
Like black pipe cleaner to our phones, so it looks like a spider.
Little spiders. Yeah.
They look like little spiders.
Yeah.
I kind of want to have the pipe cleaners off my back.
Oh, we're gonna, yeah, we're
Okay,
we
I
are
really
gonna do
wanna
one
have-
too.
Yeah, we're right here.
Isn't that what we're doing?
Give her.
Isn't
Go
that
to
what
town.
I thought that's what we were doing. We're all gonna wear black and then
Sure.
put black pipe cleaners to
Yeah.
make it look like we're actually spiders.
Are not big. Cleaners are like that big.
Oh, you get like 30 and you
It's
drop.
true. So we want to explain the concept.
really
We
little
don't want to
people, it might
spend
look
so much
better.
time on that because that's.
I think visual and audio cues just make it like way more
Yeah.
easy
Yeah.
for
Bring
people
out the
to
concept.
visualize like, oh, okay, there.
Plus. You know?
So I think it's like, we don't have to use pipe cleaners, but we have to use something that's like a pipe cleaner.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, yeah, and maybe some
Nathan had a
face
point,
paint. We're not
though.
sure.
Can
We'll
you-
leave that.
Oh,
You remember?
yeah, so most of the stuff that I wrote to bring here would be stuff that would be like on how we're incorporating the concepts on the slides that I would be
Okay.
talking about.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna, from what we're talking about
Yes,
here,
go.
this
Yes.
goes both with roles and norms. So I had Lear being the, well now Spidey sense, so your role would be the Spidey sense thing, so we could like just put role and like I could talk about that.
Right.
And then norm, implicit and explicit. The explicit, one of our explicit norms is that everybody would use Spidey sense, like that you guys come to
Yes.
that conclusion.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then just a random like implicit one, like having to do with spiders. It's like that would, yeah, you guys would be sharing like big catch the food there, but that would just be on the slide. So then we could just state that.
Yeah, and it'd be good, like, when this happens, like,
that's
in
good.
between, we would have those scene changes with the audio cues. So it would happen, and then we would have that scene change, and Nathan starts explaining it in
This
the
is it.
laboratory.
Wait, are you explaining that?
Explaining what?
Is that what
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
That it
on
would
the
come
slides.
up on the slides, and would you be using your
pointy thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
yes? So what we've observed, so even within the first few minutes, we've observed.
Yeah,
Bam, bam, bam.
but it would be,
Is that
it would-
kind of what?
Yes.
Implicit and explicit roles.
Yes, yeah.
and it would be a scene change from us, right? So with
The
the audio
audio
cue, so
cues.
it would switch over to Nathan, and then it would be the audio cue of like the laboratory,
Yeah.
and it would be like, okay, when we're, you know, like who
Then he'd do his thing.
Allison, so we're saying, yeah, he does his thing, and he points it out and whatever, and he says, okay, let's see what else they come up with, and then
Yes,
the scene changes
switch back.
again. to us. You know what I mean?
And I have a question.
Yes.
While he's talking, do we want to like be acting but keep it silent, or do we want to just be frozen?
I think freeze. I like freeze.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way too we could figure out the lights, like somehow.
Spotlight.
Anyways, something like so that the lights would go out on us and come up at the front of the class. Like maybe if there's a way, if we can figure out. Anyways, I guess that, yeah, you're right. You're right. I know. But so maybe freezing, or at least just we could all crouch down for a second, so that their eyes would be on him or something.
Can I interject here? I really love your idea of using the audience as well. Augusta Boyle, I don't know if you've heard, doesn't matter. We could use the audience to do with the lights if we wanted that as well. We could have them shutting them off and shutting them off.
No, I don't like that.
I
I
think-
just say it. I don't like it
I don't
because I
think
don't think
that's-
it's their job.
Okay.
Yeah, but like so I hear what you're saying about, but I don't want to include them in
That's
like such a technical role.
Okay.
I
You
just
know what
don't. I
mean?
don't think it's realistic, honestly, just because the lighting
it's
in
done,
the
it's done.
classroom. No, I'm just overall for lighting. Just it's almost unrealistic because
For my idea,
yeah,
too.
like
yeah, I
like
think
where
you're right.
where is Nathan gonna stand? Nathan is gonna stand like right beside the spiders, right? So we would have to actually like move away so the light would go on him, and then it would just it
You're
wouldn't
right.
work.
So I think if we either we freeze or we crouch down. Yeah, I think okay. So Nathan just did this. I think that's a good.
What did you do?
The crouch down, probably.
The crouch down. I think if we just kind of go okay, like
See,
we're,
and
we're
I'm-
just like this. for
I'm
a
the
second.
opposite of you.
Okay.
I
You
think
we should
I
just
think we
freeze
just
as we are?
freeze, and then he walks in front of us as if we're a blank.
I agree.
Okay,
Because
okay.
otherwise it's too distracting if we're all like.
Yes, Becky, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Either way.
I'm up for
Yeah, I
either
like
way.
the freeze.
Okay. So
I'm
freeze.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can try it out when we're acting it. Like
It's
and
like
just
a play thing that
Yeah.
you do, right? Is to freeze.
Sure.
It's just I think it's
Freeze.
It's very much like a play.
Yeah, it definitely will
Action,
take
yeah.
less. It'll be less distracting for the
Yeah.
audio.
okay. Sounds good.
And they'll know again that something else is happening.
It's because of the audio cues, right? Like that'll be the
That is-
biggest.
yeah.
That's the primary
Yeah.
sea change.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So that's scene. So scene.
Before we go on,
Yes.
the overall objective, like our goal for this is to make a skit. Our goal as spiders is to make a web.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And where in the web is demonstrated by that like rope, right? That we were gonna
Yeah.
use.
Okay.
Yarn?
I just
Well,
wanted
you
to
can
clarify.
during that voiceover.
Gotta do that.
There, something could be said about what his aims for the experiment are.
Yes.
Like, I want to see how they cooperate together, and if they are able to
To
build
make
a
a
web,
Yeah.
maybe something like
If they
that.
are so individualistic, they cannot.
Yeah, like
make a
if
web
they will be
together.
able to cooperate.
The same thing.
These
And
are
build a
good
web,
spiders.
yeah.
They
I'm
can't
just trying
make
to
their
get the
own
concept
webs.
of
Totally.
individualistic.
Yes, 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 yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you can bring
does
all
that?
that.
What do you think
Sorry,
about
I
that,
just
Mariah?
I just wanted to confirm that that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we were doing.
Yeah, I think
And-
and stating that would be.
We're still we're
Okay.
still going on that idea we had last time, right? Which was everyone would be hanging on to the rope, and then by the end, with the rope, as we become more of a group, we would make the rope.
You know what? I don't know if we
Never did
need it
that.
anymore because we're building a web.
That's
And I think the
connect
web-
us.
I think the web will kind of replace that.
But how do
But
we
I'm not sure.
how do we represent the web? I thought when we were speaking about it last time, how we represented it is that we would come into a circle, and then we would have some sort of like a yarn, a ball of yarn, which we would throw to one
Yeah,
another.
Right. I remember that.
And
That's what we were
Yeah,
talking
in
about.
our in our activity in there we actually did.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah.
it's
All on the table and all manageable, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we would
yes.
be. So I mean, the idea from last time was like we would be in a straight line with this rope,
Mhm.
and we'd be like talking about the rope, how we're gonna whatever, and then when we finally come to the consensus, which is kind of showing how our group came. Like up until last week, we were kind of scattered, right, and we didn't start the skit yet, and we were trying to get content, and at that point. When like the rope goes from a straight line to a circle, we can represent that with us starting the skit. And then when it's in a circle, that's when we're actually working on the skit, and that's when
On the
we're
web.
throwing yarn at each other, and it makes an actual web. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then by the end, it'll be like we've thrown it so many times, and we wrapped it around the rope and whatever, and we threw it at each other so many times that it'll actually look like a web.
I think all of it is there.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's actually what's happening and
Yeah.
what we're working through.
Yeah,
and
it'll-
how it's going to unfold that way. You might have some modifications.
Right, exactly. And
I
we
think we're all on the same track. with
yeah,
that.
and we could be like we could like even represent stuff like we can just get like a pair of scissors and be like, okay, I don't really like this. We just snap a part of the rope or a part of the
Maybe a
yarn.
spider moves away and says, "Screw you guys! I hate you all. You don't understand me. I'm out." But they don't have to say it.
But I mean, it's got to be representative of what actually happened.
What we
Yes,
did in
yeah.
our roles.
So no one
right?
actually
You know?
like stormed out and
Like
left.
maybe
Yeah,
some
yeah,
people
yeah.
just kind of like drop
Brief
like the
evidence.
yarn or the rope, like, and they drop it, or I was thinking about me, how it's like I have to make sure everyone's okay. So then I go up, are you okay? Are you okay? And then in that I
why
get
aren't you
tangled
holding
up.
the rope or something? Or okay.
Yeah, or whatever that
Yeah.
and then we have that tug, right?
Yeah.
And so
You're right. There was a
people-
lot to do with the rope. Okay.
Tugging, I think
people
the
get
tugging-
tight and
It's going to be one big thing. It's going to end up
Yeah.
fine together. That whole rope will work.
Okay.
But there can be some individual tugging because we're tugging as with ourselves, as it
Mhm.
were, and we're tugging with each other.
mm-hmm.
Not a war exactly, but
Mm-hmm.
Or-
Okay. So
Well,
here's
there's
my
that
only
tension, right?
thing.
We talked about tension in our group too, right?
Mhm.
So tension of the tugging, perhaps.
I
things
think
like that.
I think so. What's going to be good is I think if there's that ability to drop and pick up the rope, I think that'll make a big difference.
okay.
Rather than us constantly, because I think what we were trying to get at being constantly attached to the rope was the fact that we were all stuck in this. But
Yeah.
in this experiment, we're all stuck in our little glass cage. So
Yeah.
that's already that. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
no way for us to be for us to get out. We're in the experiment, we're stuck in the experiment. So I think the idea, and then I think that'll help then when we all choose to pick up the rope and make it into a circle and start building the web, then I think that will be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my opinion about
We
it.
should have.
Mariah.
Oh yeah, Mariah's.
So I was thinking maybe Shanty could be Mr. Tickles. And like we could drop in Shanty and have her like do that little bit that she did on the thing, and so you could be like for that like
Oh, that's
is
so
the
smart.
forming thing, right? So like for us to be able to start our web or like make this circle, you have to give us like some help, and you drop in Mr. Tickles.
You're like, I have this one spider who's done really well.
That's really good.
Is that kind of like I have this one spider who really cooperates well with other
and
spiders?
knows what she's doing and has
I was actually
experience. So I was
thinking.
And he can like drop the spider in, and then while he drops the spider in, when the spider's there, we're looking at it, and we just play the audio cue.
We
of her
play the
singing
thing.
it, and we're like, oh my god, that's so
not
smart.
actually her.
And then
but
you pull her out?
Just audio, yeah, just audio, because
of it.
she's the.
Okay, guys, these are all great. Okay, Shanti is Mr. Tickles.
That's a really
But
good
let's keep going. So scene 2, spiders enter, forming the group from hiding places. Nathan brings in the first 3. We ask the audience who wants to come in. Then what we've got is the Spidey sense thing. Now, so what's going to have to happen in this scene is dealing with the Spidey sense, the Facebook thing. All of us, every member entering. So eventually that'll mean we have a conversation and then you come in,
Okay, last
right?
one.
You come in last. Pat, you won't be there for the Spidey sense conversation,
Sorry.
right? Just a second. So
That's
I'm just
really
trying to,
important. That's
and
really
then,
important. Sorry, I wanna hear you too.
and then we, so basically in that scene, we all have to come in, we have to have the Spidey sense thing, and we have to start that mini storm about the Facebook thing, and then you can go, and then I think then the scene would change, right? Like then it'll be, okay, now something else is happening. Like, does that make sense?
Do we
'Cause
want to have scenes for the stages, like forming?
That's what I was saying.
Right,
That's
yeah.
what I was
We
just
come
about
back
to
to
ask.
Right.
Did you want to make it so each scene represents one thing? So what was it?
Forming, norming,
norming,
storming.
So each one is the 5 scenes that we
She
have.
wanted us to break it down like that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so each scene that we go from Nathan to us should represent one of those. You know, in whatever order our group came together.
And a bit of overlap.
Do you
So
remember?
so
Yeah,
so
that's-
are the whole
And I
scene
think
has to be
Nathan's slides can speak to that.
so the whole scene has to have everything that happened in our forming. The next scene has to be everything that happened in our norming. The next scene has to be everything that happened.
So I think I totally agree with you. I think that because our group was kind of strange, and I think we
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
forming, norming, storming, it all
All
kind of
at
happened at once.
Yeah.
Like so, again, I think that'll be where Nathan's slides will be
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah.
That it can be like, well, so I thought we were kind of through the forming stage, but
this
apparently.
is strange
but,
behavior.
um,
Now
yes,
they're,
totally. Or like,
Yeah.
and those can be written up so that you're not stuck on your own being like the voice piece for everything. But do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
The voiceover, whatever.
So for,
Yeah.
for these first, for this, like
First,
you talked about,
yeah.
the slides would include, well, forming, you guys are coming together.
Right.
We could have a slide about that, and then put in roles and
Rules
norms.
and norms. Yeah.
Rules and norms, and maybe a little bit of looks like there's already some storming occurring over the use of Spidey sense or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
I don't really know much about slideshows, but is it possible to have forming, norming, storming, performing, and joining, and then like brightening one
Yeah.
while we're on that, and then brightening the next one when we're on that, and then he'll be like, oh wait, and then he'll have to go back, and then like go down 3 and then up 3, and he's like, I'm sorry, I had these all laid out in order, but it seems that like they're doing something
This is
different.
an atypical
Yeah,
process.
what we can do with
Guys,
PowerPoint is
You want to run for a minute?
Just for a minute.
Yeah,
So I can
yeah,
deal with
yes,
this.
yes,
Just-
there's what you can do in PowerPoint is you can have like hyperlinks. So we can make a big slideshow, like 20, 30 slides or whatever. Which won't be like it will take me like 5 minutes to do it. And then so Nathan will be probably in control of the PowerPoint. So if you just click on one of them, I can make it so if you click on one of them, it'll highlight, and then if you click on the other one, it'll highlight. So, and then it'll just like stay, you know what I mean? So it'll just so he can click it when we get into as like a visual cue, and he just clicks it, and then we're like talking, so the audience won't be distracted by his clicking, but they'll see the visual change.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yep. No, totally. I think that's a great idea. Okay. My sense is that I feel like we should try to get down a rough idea of what will happen in each scene. And then I think what we need to do is come back and probably assign some technology stuff. Do you know what I mean? And also assign some like script, at least script forming stuff, maybe on a Google Doc. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, so do you know what I mean? So like
Having
maybe,
a skeleton.
yeah,
And
yes,
then
exactly.
coming back to it to flush.
And then coming back to it to flesh it out. Is that, can we just,
I'd really like to get a skeleton by the end of today.
me too.
As much
Can
as
we agree on that? And we'll ask Rena when she
Absolutely.
comes back,
Very
but
much so.
agree on that as a goal of today, a
Like
skeleton,
an
Yeah.
And just an
skeleton
outline
skit.
of the whole
Oh,
skit.
okay.
And out, just
I
an
think I meant
outline.
like an actual like.
No, we need a skeleton in here right now.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
much
like an
as we
outline
can
of the
have.
skit, just points.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, if scene 2, when the spiders enter, is forming,
Wait, oh,
forming,
so
norming,
you want
swarming,
to-
kind of,
okay.
yeah. So
Can I
then,
write this on the board? Do you mind?
not at all, yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
Just because I need to be able
Yes,
to.
totally. And I'll write more detailed in my book, and then I can, I will just say right now that I can put it into a Google Doc and we can add to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we can like kind of each add ideas and stuff. Okay, so what else would happen during forming? We all join. So there needs to be this Spidey sense thing, and then also we need to
We
do a
had a lot of this in
scheduling
that.
thing.
In the notes that you had, that you wrote out, a lot of this was in that.
Yes, totally, totally. I think the other thing we need to do, the scheduling complex.
yeah.
Yes, you're right. Okay, because Raina's gonna come
Using that as a-
in before forming ends. We've already talked about Spidey sense, and then Raina comes in late because she was the last one to join the group, and we needed Mr. Tickles to help us get her in.
So
Right?
can we just before we go on, can we just have like a little breakdown of how long each scene is going to be, because we do have a time constraint, and we also have to reach a maximum time. So I think we should allot time for each scene depending on how much material is in that scene, just from
Yeah.
our understanding.
So I think
we're
that'll
gonna
be
caught
easier.
Up in,
No, just like an outline. Like it doesn't have to fill that, but we can just say like, okay, and the monologue's probably going to take 2 minutes, so we just put 2 minutes, and then if it turns out that it's less than 2 minutes or whatever, we can allot that amount of time for the rest. You know, it's just like
The
it's
only
easier
thing
to
is
manage for time.
I'm feeling like we could right now we could be like, okay, there's gonna be 6 scenes, 20 divided by 6, you know, each is gonna be like whatever, 5 point something, you know.
Yeah, I'm just.
But then the problem is it's like you say, there's gonna be some where we have a lot more.
That's what I'm trying
so-
to say. So
But I
you can't just
think, though,
divide it that way.
we're spending like, forming is not like a huge.
Yeah.
Like,
No, we didn't
every-
spend a lot of time on it. We didn't, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So it
But
would
so
be
but what I'm
less.
saying is in scene 1, a lot is going on though,
But I
because
don't think
as
we
we
have to
formed, we
include-
stormed.
I don't think we have to include everything.
Okay,
Like, I think we could have like a conversation about the Spidey sense, but I don't think we have to have like the scheduling conflict.
Okay.
Like, I think that because of the time and because it has so much storming, that we're gonna need that. Like, the other groups may have to focus more on the forming, but forming for us was like very minor. A lot of it was like the storming part. So
Okay.
what I get, or like I agree a little bit that we should break down some kind of time so that we don't get too caught up on trying to fit everything in, because we're gonna have to
cut out,
cut out.
definitely.
So that's what I'm saying, and it's not as simple as like, okay, there's 5 scenes and then each
Yes,
have like
right.
5 minutes, right? But we say, okay, well, forming took longer than, or storming took longer than forming, so let's give forming like 8 minutes, and let's give storming
Storming 8 minutes.
8 minutes, and then forming
Forming.
3 minutes.
Sure,
or
sure,
something.
sure.
And that's just like a general skeleton, like, that's just for us to kind of have a know of how long the scenes are supposed
Right.
to be. So then when we're actually like doing the scenes, and then we're like, oh, this is 4 minutes, okay, we have to cut out now a minute,
Okay.
or we have to cut out this because that's how our skeleton is.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so the only thing I think is problematic is forming, norming, storming for us. Spidey sense isn't forming, we were norming. Like he's gonna point out, it's implicit norms. We came to an implicit norm of how we would communicate with each other outside of class. But it's something that happened really early on. So really the only forming thing
Was the time.
was the time.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
so-
No,
Okay,
that's an
so maybe we
example.
should cut,
That's an
maybe
example.
we
No,
should
it's who
leave.
was in the group.
Yeah, who's in the group? Yeah, like, and who's
Yeah, but
who's
the-
gonna be in our
but
group?
we-
That
that was
was
based
based
on
on
the schedule.
the schedule, yeah.
Sure.
That was a bad example, but you know what
No,
I mean?
but I know,
Like,
I
to
totally hear what
include-
you're saying. We could get stuck and we'll write a whole scene about forming and then have no time left for storming.
Alright, so once we get the material at the end, let's just, like I'm suggesting, just allocate a little bit of time for
Totally.
each scene.
Okay, sounds good.
No, I'm just looking at the board. So number 3, I guess, would be back to slides, like me.
Well, I think we would have to bring slides in here because it would be like forming, light up forming, and then it would be like, oh, are you, like, when are you guys meeting? Like, how long do I have to be? That like, blah blah blah. My tank's way over there, and then he goes, okay, now that they're through the forming stage, then like in a few minutes, and then we'll be like, oh no, but like, don't you use Spidey Sense? And he's like, okay, we're moving right on now, and so it like goes right into norming.
Oh,
So-
am I talking like between you guys?
I think-
Am I showing slides between you guys? I thought like.
You thought there'd be a more definite.
It's gonna be more, like, I think how it should happen is Nathan should have his own scene, where we actually switch scenes like we were talking about earlier. So,
Yeah.
like, it should be like, let's say a minute, we're us forming, and then the other minute is him explaining what's
What
going on and
Mhm.
pointing at the slides.
Would that be easier? for
Yeah,
you?
that's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Me saying what
Switching
happened.
back and forth. Yeah.
And then like,
Oh, like,
if
go-
we decide to do a little improv, you could just kind
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna be one constraint though. When we are in our spider, the spider sense, right? Like, or when we're in the spider environment, so the spiders are interacting. Are the slides gonna be what Nathan is using, or are they gonna be some other set of slides? Because we can't. It's gonna be way too difficult for us to go back and forth and light up a few slides, for forming, norming, and then going back to different slides.
So we'll hyperlink that, so
I'd
we'll like really like forming, link it to like slide
terrified.
1, have like the forming stuff, then he hyperlinks back to the main page, to slide 1.
We'll have to.
I know what you're saying. It's gonna be hard for Nathan to remember every single hyperlink because there's like
But
there's
he's
only
just gonna click them as we work through
Nathan has something to say.
scenes.
We can make it easier just because because you guys sorry, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. So we could put up slides like not the ones I'm going to talk about, but when you guys are doing your little spider things, like we just have like a bunch of slides and like you can just say like forming on it, and then like I can click through, and then maybe you guys start like storming, and I can like click to the next line. It just says that. Like, we don't need to like hyperlink them.
Yeah, we could just make multiple
'Cause we know how
slides
it's
so that he
gonna
just
go
has to go
down.
next, next,
I
next, next.
was thinking we just use the PowerPoint for like we use the PowerPoint for just like the forming, norming. So he would just click it. It would be like while we're forming, it would highlight like forming, and we're forming, right? And it would stay at forming. And then when it goes to his scene, like as we're talking, he's writing on the board what he's observing. And then when it goes to his scene, then he points the stuff on the board. You know what I mean? Instead of using the PowerPoint.
No, I think, okay, anyways, can I just pop in here and just say, I really think we should get an outline down and come back to the technology stuff later. Is that
I agree.
okay? Because I really feel like
Sure.
something we talked about just after you left was maybe a goal for today, and I said we'll come back for this to Raina, is like getting an outline of just generally what's going to be in each
Okay.
scene.
Okay, we'll try our best.
Yes,
I love that
yeah.
as well.
And then come back, because I totally,
Sure.
there's some definite stuff we're gonna need to work out,
Sure.
but maybe let's get this done and then we can,
I think a lot of it too is
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff that we can actually focus on like while we're actually practicing or
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I wanted
because
to
it'll
say.
come up and it'll be like, oh, okay, well this is kind of difficult. Let's do something else.
yes, yes,
Clear
yes.
as we practice.
Yeah, good point.
So
Yes, really
let's
good
just do the
point.
outline now.
Okay, so,
We could also try to practice the outline as we do it if we need it as an option.
I think it'll be easier to get something written
That's
down,
okay too.
yeah.
On board.
Okay, so, okay, so the forming, okay, Mariah, so coming back to what you were saying about making sure we don't spend too much time, then really what we should do before we get to the Spidey sense stuff, even though it's kind of, well, is like, yeah, you can say, oh, looks like they're done forming, or something like that, and then we start talking Spidey sense norming, and then Raina comes in and you're like, oh, no, we're back to forming or something, because that's kind of what, I don't know, like about the slides having to move around and like,
But Becca had a solution to all of that actually that meets everybody's idea of inclusion.
What was that?
You said it, and I don't know if it's technically possible, and I don't want to bring back to technology.
Yeah.
But you had this beautiful idea of
Highlights.
that moving in and out to them, and Nathan pointing it like starting as forming, and then because we did do that all together, and returning back to, we're back to storming.
Right. Back to norming, back to storming, back to forming. Yeah,
I think
totally.
it includes everything.
Yes,
but
yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
Rebecca's idea in.
Yep, and it's already, it's down here. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
But so I'm just wondering about like writing. So in this scene then, this first scene of just the spiders, we're gonna do some forming, some norming, and some storming.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Facebook is in there.
yeah, Spidey sense is in here.
Sorry.
Raina last. Cage on other side of room. You come in last. Like the
Yeah.
and then storming.
Spidey sense.
Spidey sense. Okay.
And was there
Okay.
something else for the first scene? Somebody else had after? I know you want to move forward.
No, that's good. Yeah,
There was
that's a
one
good
piece, Mariah.
Okay, how
No,
much?
for forming for the first scene, which includes forming, and I think you had something, maybe I made that up? It's in the
Yeah.
title. Doesn't
Maybe
matter.
I was referring to something she
Very well.
said when you were.
Sorry,
Yeah.
do you guys want to put this all in one scene?
I think it'll kind of have to be because it's what should have just been. It's what should have just been our forming stage, which is how he'll introduce it. And then all these things will happen. And then afterwards, this scene will end. And in the meantime, the highlights will have been going up and down, up and down. And then you can comment on it using the slides.
And
Oh,
the
okay.
music will be there too.
And so the
That would be-
scene will switch.
Okay, I think that's a better idea than switching scenes every single time.
Something
Yes,
happens.
Yes, good, I'm glad
'Cause
you-
it'll switch too many times.
So then scene 3, technically, or like the next scene change, will be Nathan's
Pointing to the
slides,
what,
past, like, forming, norming, storming,
Okay, so we're having a scene,
And roles.
and roles.
okay.
Yeah, I have this.
And
Okay.
in the roles, I think Nathan should say
Yes,
like,
totally.
I, as the observer, am observing, so it like it
Okay.
feels like he's included, but he's observing and putting knowledge to us.
Okay, so after
from
all
the
that
outside.
has happened, and he's explained it, then where do we, yes, totally.
Whoa,
Now
so
where,
where
this
is
is
it?
great.
Shit.
No, but it's really good, she's got it in like
Good pictures.
storyboard
Thank
form
you.
here.
Much
Okay.
easier for me.
Totally, no,
Thank
way
you.
easier for me too. Okay, so yes, then Nathan explains it. Now, what do we want to happen next? Some of the ideas were getting all tangled up, a tangled scene.
Yeah, tangled scene, but starting with not tangled, not even
So,
touching each other.
so maybe we notice the rope on the floor.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna
Okay.
say. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh,
The
noticing
rope
on
has
the
to be visible
No,
for us.
I think we need to have a conversation about our goal because we did a lot of that in like the first
That
couple
is important.
into the first couple meetings was like, guys, this is so meta. And then like,
His spiders form goal, okay?
you know, right?
floor
Like,
with-
a lot of
And the rope can
conversation
just
was-
be laying on the floor the whole time.
Yeah, so until we actually get concrete and like start working towards the goal, we shouldn't be
We
touching
shouldn't
the
touch
rope.
the rope, okay.
For the
But the rope should be visible to the audience,
Yes.
so they're like wondering, what the fuck is the rope for?
Yeah, it'll just be laying there. Okay.
It's so interesting.
do we need to, yeah, about the rope on the floor.
Okay.
So we used like, we had like a ribbon last time when we were just throwing it at each other. I was thinking we could just use like a white ribbon, kind of web-like.
Yeah.
Okay, white ribbon,
I
yeah.
would bring that, I promise you. a lovely
Rather than
white.
rope.
Yeah, like the.
Yeah, it's all wrapped up and it's easy to check.
That's true, it's easier to chuck. Okay.
Good.
I'm still trying to understand why it needs to just be laying on the floor in the first place. I think it would be
should come
more
with someone's
interesting.
pants or something.
yeah like
Right.
like once you guys actually start
Yeah.
to build the web, like
I like
someone
that.
just kind of has it on the back and like it pulls out and then you
Or
like pull it amongst yourself.
Broken
Especially
pants.
with-
So, broken pants.
Yeah.
That-
Okay, I'm definitely on board with that.
For the goal, Nathan knows that as he's like, I want them to build a web. in
That's
the
what
end.
he tells us, right?
Yes, so does he tell us that, or do we go, what are we even supposed to be doing, like, right now?
Yeah. No, because the idea was we did know what we were supposed to be
We did.
doing, but we weren't clear about it, right? Like as a group,
Or we thought
in
we were,
reality, not spiders, but like, because we knew we were supposed to make a skit,
Yeah.
but then some people were like, some of us were really like, our goal is the skit, and other people were like,
Right.
our goal is the process of getting to the skit, and that was like a main source of storming for us. So yes, I think a scene, so something being like, our goal
No, it's
is.
there.
Our goal is to build a web. I heard Nathan say that our goal is to build a web. and then, like Lear, you could say that. I heard Nathan say, I heard the researchers say our goal is to build a web. And then either Kate or Raina come in and say, but I think what he really wants is to watch how we interact and work towards, maybe we'll build a web, maybe we won't build a web. But the whole thing is that, like, he wants to, like, the real interesting research here is going to happen.
See how we cooperate.
Yes, yeah.
Can you use actual words though? Can you say how like hypothesis and like the methods haven't been written? Like could you say like
I think we could, I think we can do whatever we want.
Can I
Yeah.
make a point here?
Yes, sorry, Lear.
So, I think that we shouldn't break the third wall with the observer.
Disagree.
I think, I think we shouldn't break the third wall.
Okay.
We should just be like, why are we here? And then we say, we come to a conclusion. Well, I mean, we're here, we're gonna have to eat, right? We're spiders,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to eat. So we
Yeah.
gotta build our web.
Yeah.
And then it kind of comes to us.
Mhm.
It's not that we break the third wall and be like, oh, well, no.
We were totally cognizant of everything.
Yeah, we
he's
can.
doing.
We know what Nathan is because we're spiders, right? We don't
Okay,
understand
okay.
the third wall. So what I was saying is like, okay, one of us suggests like, okay, let's just like throw it out there. Like we need to eat, so we gotta get.
But I
through
think, but see, the only thing is I think this skit isn't really about spiders and whether they can understand or not, but about reflecting our group's process. And I think it better reflects the group's process if we think two groups think they know what we're supposed to be doing
can Mr.
from some higher authority.
Can Mr. Tickles come
Yeah, we
and talk
could
to us?
use-
Mr. Tickles could come and talk to us so that it's more realistic
Shanty Mr.
spider-wise.
And then but
Shanty,
how are we
Mr.
gonna
Tickles.
get a recording of Shanty?
Well, that's good.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be
No,
hard
no,
to-
you're right. Yes, you're
Or
right.
we can ask
That
her to
might
give
be
us
impractical.
quotes, which we could then have someone else say with the voiceover. That's a possibility. We can make that happen. I
Like
think
what?
it's
We're
fine.
gonna call her or we're gonna email her and be like, okay, we
Anyone
want you to
else
say
can.
this.
It's fine.
No. But what I'm saying is, I don't even know if we need that. I think we can. I know it's totally unrealistic that the spiders can hear the researcher, but we're also not spiders.
Yeah.
Like, and I just think I think it'll simplify it if we're just able to really directly represent what
Yeah.
happened in the group.
Yeah.
Because the first time it was like, what are the goals? And like Lear, you were like, we need to make a skit.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
And so like you were really aware.
Yeah.
You weren't like, well, what are we doing here? Let's decide, right? Like
You were
you were really clear on the goal.
I know that's what I'm trying to say. So it's like we could even represent that with like using the web to, let's say, to eat. We could say, like me, I knew what the goal was, so I would be like, guys, we have to eat. Like,
You
we have
just
to eat.
changed the goal from building a web to
Getting food.
Mm-hmm. That's what the difference is. So our goal, we're talking about the goal being that we need to make a web, but your goal in that idea is changing it to be.
No, I think you're misunderstanding because the like to get food you need to build a web, right? So it's like
Yeah, so then it's the means to an end.
it's not it's the means to an end. It's not-
No, but what I'm saying is then I'm agreeing with her. Then the web becomes the means to get the food.
Yeah.
So I know
I just don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like
I don't think
No,
the food is
they're
more
not.
like getting the A, but we're talking
Yeah,
about getting the
yeah,
web
yeah.
and being, we need to do a seed. It's not about getting an A, it's like the final product
Yeah.
is we're supposed to build a web.
like do you know what I mean? Like we need the web to get the food.
I do. I
It's
totally understand that.
It's dependent.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I don't think that it reflects our group's process. That's what I would say. I don't think that it does. Because I think we all knew what we were here for. There was disagreements, but we had been told and given a syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's not realistic that we would know, and while it's more realistic that we would be following instinct to hunt food
As spiders.
as spiders, but we're not spiders, and we're not supposed to be realistically representing spiders. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be realistically representing our group.
Yeah.
So that's where I would disagree. That I think we should. It doesn't have to be my idea of saying, "Oh, I heard the researcher." So maybe we could think of something different. But I think we should be aware of what the goal is, and we should have a storm about it between those who are just heading for the web and those who are wanting to figure out the process of cooperating to get to the web.
Yes, the task and relate, the task.
The task and-
relate, sure,
yeah.
yes.
That's been huge.
So I think that we should know what we're doing, and then it's like, how do we do it? Task versus maintenance.
Yes.
And then so that's our storming of like, how are we going to get there?
How are we
And then
gonna get
people are
there?
like, well, we should talk about our feelings and get to know each other. And then someone else is like, no, we just have to build this web. It's like the simplest thing, you guys.
Then we can get back to
Yes,
our
pulling on it.
own home webs or whatever. Yeah. Like
Yeah, or even, yes, exactly,
Yeah.
all of that can work so
Oh,
well.
yeah.
the sooner we get this done,
Yeah.
the less stressful it'll all
Because
be.
it's not like we have to live together in harmony
Mhm.
for forever as spiders. And we just say, yeah.
And we can also, like, if at that scene we have, that butt web sticking out, we can all be pulling a piece of it home in our own different directions as a symbolic representation of, like, we're not connected, we're all going about this in our own idea. It could all work
Yes.
together.
We have the rope in the middle with a little course outline on it, and then this is like your tool.
Oh, that's okay. So
That's
that would be better. I think that kind
So
of
instead of pulling it out of our pants,
And, we
and
say,
it's
like,
not and it's
we would say like, oh, it's written in Spider. We can understand it.
yeah, no, that's a really
That
good.
is
Okay.
And we disagree about what spider means.
Yeah, we
Our
disagree on the
language. Because we
interpretation.
speak totally different spider languages.
Okay, so
we did
on
spend
some
a lot
rope.
of time with communication, right?
Okay, wait. So just maybe just
Relational
sitting in the
spider
middle,
language.
there'll be like a.
yeah. So in
We
the
could be
middle of
like
the cage,
middle of
Nathan
cage.
has put. You could speak to that too, like that you put in.
I've left some certain like hormone smells or something that will
Yeah.
will tell the spiders what they're
Or
supposed to do.
or we can say I got Mr. Tickles because Mr. Tickles is supposed to be Shandy. Right?
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
say Mr. Tickles like left them a message.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like I've told
Oh, you didn't like it?
like he
Oh, you
could
did?
be-
Okay, Mr.
like
Tickles.
he could be like Nathan could be like Nathan could be like, oh, as the researcher I had to get someone that knows what they need to do. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got Mr. Tickles to tell them.
And she's
she
mediating.
wrote it in Spider.
Yes.
And like left it there for them. So
And then we
then
can fight about what she actually wrote.
yeah, so yeah.
Yes.
So then we stumble
That doesn't mean that.
This is the message.
so we stumble upon it. You know
I
what I
think we
mean?
should have literal paper though, or something.
Yeah, I think so
Yes.
too. And it could just be covered in webs, like web, and that could mean something. Will be like whatever, or you know what I mean, like
And paper thrown in it.
And I think we should have just some weird
some
like,
weird symbols. That's what I
symbols,
mean, like
so
some
it
weird
looks like
web-like
it's its own
symbols.
language, and we can read it, and we're like, oh,
So,
okay, I can read this.
What is the point of having this written in Spider?
Um,
Where
so
we don't know how to interpret it?
Yes.
yeah, so
Disagree
basically
about
it gives us the goal
We could also
without with like in a more realistic way. It gives us the goal, and then it sets the stage for the task versus maintenance storming.
So these two should be switched. Because we're getting the goal and then we're doing task maybe.
Sure.
Yes, yep, you're right.
Just switch.
That's
No,
a good.
I got
That's
it.
I think
We
that's
should
good.
do it however you like, Becca.
A picture of the paper that we wrote, and then you could have the translation. Like you could translate it.
No, because in the beginning he will have said that his
Oh,
goal
because
was to
it's
get
in
us to
the
build a
overview?
web.
Okay.
And see, and you could say it in like, I want to see if they're able to cooperate to build a web, so that it does kind of incorporate both. Because I think ultimately the goal is both. It's just in a balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's us trying to find that equilibrium, like Mariah talked about in that meeting, like finding the equilibrium. So
And I think
I don't know if you need
I think Nathan should relate the goal with how it's written by Mr. Tickles and everything, but Mr. Tickles doesn't say anything. He's just like relating it. And then at the end, it'll kind of be like a surprise to the audience, like when Mr. Tickles
Shanti's voice.
and it's Shanti's voice. Right?
yes, yes.
And it's like, oh, that's funny because it's supposed to be Shanti, and we didn't know. Like the audience won't know till the end. you
Yeah,
know
the
what I mean?
audience won't know till the end that Mr. Tickles was Shanti.
Yeah.
That's cute. So
Yeah, that's good.
Yes,
we have Mr. Tickles like
leaving us a
writing, and then we're like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. Do we want to go back to Nathan and be like, now that they know what they're supposed to do, we're gonna watch them figure out how to do it.
Okay, I think what can happen is maybe we find it and we start reading it, and Lear picks it up and reads it, and he goes, oh, we need to build a web. And then maybe Mariah picks it up, oh, we need to build a web. And then Raina picks it up, oh, we need to cooperate, or something like that. And Kate, yes, totally. And then Kate picks it up and she's like, oh, we need to whatever, something else. And then like,
Build cohesion.
yeah, we need to build cohesion. And I pick it up and I'm like, oh, I think we need to, we need to build a web, but we also need to, and like that kind of, yeah.
So Nathan, you're wondering if Nathan would be in that scene, like just in the background, not talking as the two things are happening? Is that what you're trying to
I'm wondering if we need a scene in here that it's like, now that they have all know the task, the real question is, how are they gonna do it? And this is,
I just thought of something.
yes.
What if he says it right at the end here?
Yeah.
So he can be like, so this is what we've seen. Now,
They're
we're gonna
figure
watch
out
them
the
find,
task,
now we're gonna watch them find the task.
figure out
I've
what
put
it
a
is.
spider in there, I put a spider in there earlier today or something like that. Like it could be right here and it'll transition us into finding the goal.
Well,
Does that,
didn't catch it, I'm sorry.
okay, so
Right.
like if he, so he's gonna, he's
gonna.
gonna talk about, so in that scene 3, he's going to connect the scene that came before and the scene that's coming after. So he's going to begin by talking about forming, norming, storming, and then he's going to say,
I've left the goal.
I've also, now we're going to watch them as they work towards their goal. I got one of my spiders, my lab assistant, Mr. Tickles, Mr. Tickles, to leave a message for them in spider language.
Okay.
Let's watch them find it and see what happens, or something like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So then we find it, and then we're like, okay, so we all have different ideas of how to get to this task. So then we storm about that.
Yes.
How do we want
that to look?
Yeah.
So this is like one of
Money is
the
how.
this is like one of the biggest scenes we have.
Yeah, and
It's
so I
gonna
think this is
be-
where you're right, that we need to start thinking about how much time we're gonna
Yeah,
allot here.
Because we need to unpack a lot here.
Yes.
Go Pat.
I think a lot of our throwing of the web, I think, is important in this scene. If I, like throwing the string at each other, having it rejected,
communicate.
sent back.
Yeah.
I think that represents something.
Hmm.
Having it
Maybe we
accepted,
should
you can see
each
the
have-
alliances.
maybe we
Just
should
a minute,
each-
just a minute. Keep it.
Yeah.
Keeping the, having the alliances that have formed represented as well. So say Becca throws it to Mariah accepts it. I throw it to Becca, Mariah throws it back to me. Or,
Wait, you throw it to me.
yes, I throw it to you and Becca's like, screw you, throws it back to me. Like,
Okay.
I think that strongly represents part of our process, and eventually we get to that, we're all throwing it to each other.
Do you think I threw it back at you?
Sometimes I did. I don't know if that's real. It doesn't need to be.
No, but even our own personal experience of it feeling like it was thrown back, even though it could be just that Becca's back was turned and it, you know what I mean, something like that. We could represent it like that, so that it doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, it's, no, it's not
Yeah.
personal or
But all that I
nasty.
was gonna say is maybe we could each have white ribbon
In our pants.
in our
It has
pants.
to be in our pants. to
So
do
that,
whatever.
because that way, and then that could help us build the web later, like, I don't know, but that way, because that would,
But we're not gonna do it with one string.
so then we wouldn't do it with one string,
Oh,
yeah.
that's better. But
But,
it's
yeah,
better
that's-
to have many.
Maybe, yeah, I was gonna say maybe we have different colors. Because that kind of makes it, we're not all the same color.
Mhm.
And so we're all, and then our web is the beauty of different colors.
Yes, many colors. That's
Yes.
Okay, so basically that's gonna look like, so that's gonna look like us starting to say, so for example, Raina and Kate will be saying, it's more cooperation is our goal, group cohesion is our goal. What are some other, because I don't wanna put words
The
in your mouth here.
process is
The
the
process is the
The
goal.
process is the goal.
The end, or what did you used to say?
The means are not the end.
The means,
The other way around.
the end is the means or something, what did you?
No, oh fuck, I'll look it up.
Yes, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna put the means and the end.
So then,
The
and
process
then
is not, oh fuck, I don't know.
And then
you said it
Lear
like
and
4 times.
Mariah
up.
saying like,
So bad.
oh, you guys, we just need to build this web. Like,
Yeah, and then so then Lear and Mariah
and then
are like,
We also have to build a
web. We have to build a web.
We need shelter.
And Mariah's like, best web ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Which
but we
is
have
what
those
we
two
did,
camps
yeah.
of task versus maintenance. But what about
And then Becca
You and
and
I-
Allison, he's not in it, so he's like,
Standing
Well,
quiet
he's
in
just
the
like
background.
standing quietly in the background.
Still.
And I think we can be like, because I think the way we were the whole time is just like trying to organize. Like we can be like trying to organize everybody
Yeah.
and try to get you guys like, well, I see your point and I see your point,
Yes.
so how can we? Because I think that's sort of the
what
role we
you guys
play.
have been
I
doing.
think,
Yeah.
I think Nathan can also throw
Becca and
in,
Allison. Yeah.
I think Nathan can also throw in his input. If we can like have
What about
like
you,
not a scene change, but I mean like because Nathan's the observer, it won't be a scene change, but it'll be us talking, and we'll just stop, and it'll just be like Nathan being like, I think maybe they should build a web first, or I think they should do this.
Right.
So it's kind of like he's kind of like echoing it to like
Sure.
from the outside. You know what I mean?
And what about you? I've heard what you said, but what about your participation in this scene?
we got him?
He's going to be saying web.
Oh,
Web. The
right,
goal
right,
is the
right.
web.
Because we can use
Goals
the
are-
actual dialogue that we've actually said in our groups, because that's what has been said. Guys, we need, our task is the
Yeah.
sketch,
Build a
you know,
web.
so our task is the web.
Yeah.
And then, you know, at points where, you know, we get maybe a little too tangled up in the relational part, Becca or Mariah's, I think you guys mixed up just your names. You know, I don't understand why we have to keep stopping to, you know, to talk to.
progress of the web.
You know, and the actual words that we're doing, and you know, perhaps like I perceive that I'm being disrespected and stuff like that. The actual words that we
Sure.
used in group, because
I
that's
can have a hairy fit if you want.
well, just
With
the
words.
language that you use, right?
Just in
So-
terms of our skeleton,
Yeah.
let's like table that and say that is storming. Let's talk about
And
that.
that's gonna be a huge scene.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
let's
okay.
work that out later and just kind of
Sure.
keep moving.
Yes, I think
So
so.
after
Guys,
storming,
how
I
long
have
are we counting till?
Do I need
3.
There should be
Like,
there should be a
I have to go to- I
Well,
have to
just
go to-
little.
at 3 exactly.
This is
More
kind
like
of going
technical
along.
things.
I think we're almost there. I
No,
think we're
just
almost
like
We're
little
almost done.
jokes.
Yeah,
and
totally.
stuff
We have,
like
like,
that.
17.
we're gonna have a you
Yeah.
speaking, and then we're gonna have a
But nothing
uniting
big that we're
scene
missing.
and a cooperating scene. I think.
Well, we need a scene where we're actually building. the life.
Exactly. So like a maybe that'll be the last scene. that
I
we
think
do.
Nathan should be the last scene saying, "This has been."
Yeah, I think I
Okay,
agree.
sorry. So was there something?
I disagree. I don't know where we're at, but at the last scene, I think should be all of us together in our web happily.
I think that should be the one before, and then Nathan, the last scene should be a scene switch to Nathan where he says, okay, and they,
Or we have a
Got together.
voiceover conclusion.
A voiceover might be a nice way to end it, and it could still be us working together
Yes.
and Nathan watching, and then a voiceover.
Everybody together.
Everybody-
Still in their beautiful web.
Yes.
and Nathan like clapping.
Okay, so I'm a genius.
The experiment worked.
Yes.
It's gonna be published widely.
Yes. Okay, so here, guys, just a second. So what Becca and I were saying was after storming,
Oh, Becca.
then we feel like there should be another Nathan scene here where he comments on the storming
Yeah,
and brings up so slides comments on the storming.
Maybe
Okay,
he
and
could
we'll come
say,
back to the details of that.
Mr.
Totally.
Tickles has told me in other experiments that he's seen, it's really all the other experiment groups haven't been storming this much, so this is really odd.
Oh.
Yeah, you could say something like that.
Yeah.
To
Or
speak to
some-
our feeling of like, really?
and then the
Nobody else is-
transitional, I think the
Yes,
transitional scene between that scene and the next scene should be where Nathan says, okay, I'm gonna send Mr. Tickles in to try and get their.
Yeah, they're obviously stuck here. They're stuck. Something's going on. They're stuck. Mr. Tickle, or just, I've seen in other experiments it hasn't been working. I'm gonna see if Mr. Tickles can go in and just give them a bit of
we
a,
need that. We need
yeah.
the tickle.
yeah, and then that is
Yeah.
when he'll come
And
like,
that's like the transition between scene 6 and 7
And
is
we'll
where
figure out
he
what we
puts
have to
in, he'll like literally put in Mr. Tickles right in the middle, and then we're all gonna look at him,
Yeah.
right? And we're gonna be like freeze frame, and then he'll switch the audio, and it'll be like, whoa, who's that? And they'll be like, oh, okay, and then it'll be Shanti's voice, you know what I mean?
okay,
And that'll like scene change us.
I think we almost need like a night or something, like a break in it, because when like we're talking about our spidey sense of communication, we don't speak to that again, and there's breaks, so we need at least I think one like, ooh, we should like go home for the night, figure out like what we all want, and then we'll talk about it.
and we can all be on our spidey sense.
And I'll like message you guys because I was late today, so we can kind of like, because I forgot about it.
Right, right.
At the group meeting today, so we can kind of use that. Like, I'll be like completely out of it, and I'll just be like,
So okay, I totally hear you. No, I hear what you're saying. The fact that she wants to somehow incorporate the fact that we used Facebook when we were apart.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that's.
But like we
have
could
like
either
a
have a
night.
scene, or we could allude to the fact that we did. So we're like, well, I talked about this with you on spidey senses, and I told you
Yeah.
that like we should have done this. So it
Yeah.
kind of jumps, like just adding another scene in there
Yeah.
to kind of saying like, well, we talked about this on spidey sense.
Incorporate.
Last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. You don't understand?
Yeah.
Scene then?
You're part of our storming?
Yeah,
Or
maybe. Yeah, we've
additional
talked
storming?
about this, or like.
What the hell, man? Spidey sense,
We're
come
supposed to
on.
say
You don't know how to read
Did
Spidey
we-
sense?
did
You were
actually
supposed.
do that?
I know. Yeah, that's the thing. What did we do on Facebook?
We
Planned
organized.
meetings.
We planned meetings,
I posted.
and we found, and
videos.
you posted videos.
We planted our positions subtly. That also happened.
we did doodle.
We did what?
We
Sorry.
planted our positions at times.
What do you mean?
The videos and things. It was a planting of our positions in some ways.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by planting our positions? I need you to like concretely,
Okay.
like saying, giving our opinions about what we should or shouldn't do.
No, we
Like when
didn't do
Kate
that.
asked us to watch the video for that
We
meeting.
supported each other, as an example. Kate
Okay.
throws in play therapy, a video of that.
Sure.
I throw in, Lear throws in that grumpy cat at the
That was
start. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that was
Oh, that was
hilarious.
you throw it in because Lyra talked about it, so shit, I don't know how that translates concretely. But that communication itself was a big communication. Like it was, and I think
You're
it's
right.
important to be seen because I personally perceive that all of us took away something different from that. And I think that's part of the corruption of social media. It's not concrete, I know, but if you guys want to run with it,
Okay, let's do this.
What-
I don't
Can
know
we-
everybody has perceived it the same way.
of course, yes,
Yeah.
that is an important point.
Can we do this? Can we, I'm gonna type this up when I get home.
Yes.
I think what we might do is like make this skeleton and then I could write out like possible scenes.
things. Yeah.
We could all
And then-
do that.
And then, yeah, totally, and so we can all add to it. Yeah, and then possible scenes and come back to these possible scenes of spidey sensing and like that kind of thing. Is that
You feel like that's a okay, one we could come back to.
is that one we could come back to?
I
Because
just wanna
I
know
think
what
right
you
now
had
just
to
we
say.
don't. The reason I'm saying can we come back to it, and
Saying they
Yeah.
come
it's
together.
just that I don't see where it would fit in our current
Oh, okay.
going of it.
Sure.
So can we
Table
come
it
back to it?
and
Table
then-
it. Come
That
back
was
to it.
again Mariah's idea, I was just explaining.
Yeah. No, I know. I
Sorry,
totally
I
hear
think
you.
that's a different
But
scene.
Nathan did have something to say, and I wonder if he still has it.
I don't think that's a different
Well,
scene.
it could be a table thing. It was just going to be more concepts and trying to bring in that had to do with spidey senses.
Okay.
How I mentioned
So we could come.
in terms of, and we can mention group goals, operational goals. In terms of operational goals, you guys can talk about. Remember when we were splitting up the video segments to watch?
Yes. Right.
You
Yeah.
guys could be talking about like splitting up different segments of the web that you want to create.
Oh,
And then Manuel will be like, well, I want to choose what segment of the web.
Okay.
Like Bill, I don't
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
randomly
yeah.
assign.
Back into the storming. And
Yeah,
then,
but then that way we could actually put in some more concepts.
nice, okay.
So maybe this could happen
In
in scene 7. So we have our big storming scene. What are we working on? He starts talking about how we're storming.
This is
Wait, is that storming scene?
Just a second. So maybe just a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe there could be like a scene 6.5 that you could just put in there. That would be, so he starts talking, he starts commenting on the storming. And at the end of this, we could all say, okay, let's go home for the night. Or let's go to our corners and let's think about it. We don't seem to be agreeing.
Yes.
Let's go think about it. Then he comes up to the front. Well, they're storming, they've gone home. They'll probably be using their spidey sense tonight or something like that. Or I don't know. Like, and then we can have a spidey sense scene where we talk about,
Or we're all on our phones in our corners.
and we can, but while we type, we can be saying something out loud.
Yeah,
maybe.
of course.
Yeah,
I'm just
something-
trying to add the
Totally,
visual.
we're all in our corners, we're all typing, and we're saying, do you guys think we should separate portions of the web to create ourselves? And we can have, even though that conversation happened,
Yeah.
it kind of happened technologically because you weren't there, you were on Skype, so that could,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So maybe we could have that storm right there.
Okay.
Does that-
Love to develop.
What do you think, Mariah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Does that include what you were?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I'm just throwing in concepts.
No, because you're right. We should talk because that was a really good point to bring up.
And it'd be so lovely if we were speaking, just as you say, from our phones in our corners, and also speaking aloud, and including everything you just said, and like having this sort of corrupted communication.
And then I can talk about it right after it gets back to the slides. Like, because on the slides, I want to actually like talk about like group operational goals.
Right.
Just so Shanti can see, and I can also
Yeah.
stick in something about a democratic
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Okay, so
leadership.
we want to push this over. And
I think we want to push
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
I wonder
Okay.
if we could include concepts like we had trouble with making assumptions. When we did come back, we kind of weren't able to pick up where we left off. So we were like, okay, what did we discuss
Yes.
before? We were kind of lost in
The
that
process
often.
loss, maybe.
Process loss, yeah.
Maybe, because that did happen, right? It's where we didn't have the structure set up so that we'd come together and we're like, okay, what do we do now? What did we do last time? I don't remember. Like we'd had different ideas again, right? So I don't know if we could include that somehow, because that did happen,
It's
right?
important, yeah, we'll find ways to fit that, I'm sure.
Okay, so then he's talking operational goals.
Okay.
Then
We
he's
didn't
talking,
hear
yeah, based on the Spidey sense. And what else would you be talking? What else was the
About leadership. Like
democratic?
Yeah.
Leadership.
This is gonna be great. We can take a picture of this, Becca.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
It's
Thank
so
you for
awesome.
storyboarding.
No problem.
Okay, so then we would move on to scene 8, where we're coming back.
Together. And then that's when Mr. Tickles comes in.
Mr. Tickles comes in.
So
Yeah.
yeah, in scene
So we're
7,
still
just for
fighting about task and maintenance.
Yes.
Well, we did all the way through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Valley.
Totally.
I think
Until
it was-
this was kind of said, and then we were like, whoa.
Yeah, Becca, I think in scene 7 also you should add that Nathan is gonna say, okay, I gotta send in Mr. Tickles. You know what I mean?
Did you say
Aha!
aha? I was like, aha moment. I love it. And then
Yeah,
Mr.
scene
Tickles.
6. So,
And
okay, scene
that's already
6.
read the background of that.
Nathan, comments on storming. Need to send in Mr. Tickles.
Can I ask a quick question? My video of Shanti speaking did not work with the audio. Does anybody else's audio work for her speaking?
Yeah, mine.
Because I didn't see that. Like, was that a separate video or what?
I just videoed her.
You iPhoned here.
No.
Oh,
These
a
are on our computer.
different video. Okay, not while we were talking.
Yeah, it was in between our
Okay.
meetings or something.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So,
Okay, then scene 7.
What
Send
happens
in
after
Mr.
that?
Tickles.
So after that, then we
Wait,
actually
no.
start building the web.
okay.
Now, how do we come to that cooperation, you know, like, it seems like over time, we've been able to be more cooperative because we've gradually felt more comfortable with one another. We have more of an idea of who one another is, right? Then we're able to be more cooperative and build, right?
I say the storming helped.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
So is this where we
I-
want to throw yarn?
Okay, this I think
Well,
C9
yeah.
C9 is where we're at now. So like C9
This
is what
is
we're
us.
doing. It's what we're doing right
Yeah.
now. It's what we're like right now. We're constructing the web. You know what I mean? So we can worry about I think scene 10 and so after C9 after we get through this part because
Yes.
the material is going to come from us right now, right? So until
Yes.
we're finished,
Good point there.
until we're finished this, I don't think we should go past C9.
So then I would
There's
just
a
comment,
bit.
I would just
There.
comment that maybe scene 9 needs to be in scene 10.
That's awesome.
And we need to speak to what Kate was just talking about here, about kind of a uniting,
Is this me?
so I think our last meeting where we did that tangle thing, I think should somehow be, because while that wasn't a huge highlight for everybody,
Yeah.
I think a big thing happened there.
Where would
Like, in our last meeting where we wrapped ourselves all up,
Yes.
so I'm speaking to our last meeting where we wrapped ourselves all up. Becca really clearly kind of, you came out of your shell a lot
Yes.
and like spoke,
Ah,
we really got
that's
to know.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's something happened there
Yes.
where like, I don't know how to say it. I think we had fun with each other,
Yeah, I think
but we
relaxed.
also, we relaxed a bit. I don't know, Becca, I know that wasn't your experience of it,
Yeah.
but, and I don't mean to be speaking to it or to continue bring it up, but I just think that something happened there that made the beginning of this meeting
Yeah.
different than the
Yeah.
beginning of all our meetings before.
I would agree.
That's
with
all that I'd say.
Yeah.
So that we were, I feel like somehow a bunch of things happened last meeting that made us like each other more.
Is that here?
I think so. So I
Was
think
it-
that's kind of what happened. We had that moment with Shanti in class where we were like, whoa, and then Sunday we met as a team
Yeah.
and we did that weird tossing thing that Raina brought in, like the and then it turned into a dress. We had fun with each other, we played with each other, and then we had really real conversations with each other.
Yeah.
And we could kind of speak to that, and then so that could be a scene where we tangled each other up and we kind of help each other get out of the tangles,
So I
where
think
we that kind of thing, and then scene 10 could be today's meeting, if that makes sense.
I'm
I think that's
thinking we're-
possible. Can I interject quickly? I think that can work. And because we're gonna work a little bit more on the skirming scene back here in scene 5, and I know the linear folks really, really need this to be concrete to get that, I do. So in back into scene 9, you're right, we did play, we did get really real with each other, and that web is getting tangled and connected and united. So I guess I'm making 2 points that possibly we could revisit it in scene 5, but as not the same as in scene 9.
I think we should have all that, what was just said, and our group meeting and everything, all scene 8. Because scene 8, if you look at it realistically, it's just Shandy's.
You're right.
You're right.
So,
Yeah.
so
That's
scene,
good, Larry.
so scene 8 should be what we were saying, scene 9 and 10.
Yeah.
It's like all
Wait.
condensed into scene
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Scene 9 and 10, okay.
So 9 and 10 was like what you guys were saying, where we were being creative and throwing stuff, and then
Maybe
10.
the spiders just need to be comfortable with each other
Yeah.
and have fun.
Right. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
scene 8 is like has all that depth.
Be real about their feelings.
Which is
Trust.
kind of building trust, right,
Yeah.
which is in the text.
So I think scene 8 should
But
be
you
allocated
can
just
trust
as much
it's
time as
safe
scene
enough to
5.
say how you're actually.
Okay,
Because it's
We're-
gonna
we're
have-
Right, it
struggling
has a
with
lot in
trust.
it.
It is gonna have a
So
lot of
maybe
depth.
that was kind of like activity where we were
Trusting
gonna do that
play
one.
chillin'.
Yeah.
Chillin'.
So I agree, because that was just one moment, and I kind of put it into
Totally. No, I think you're, yeah, totally. Then today, performing. I think
Yeah.
performing
Yes,
today,
yes,
we're
yeah.
performing is
Yeah.
the main.
I think
So then, yeah, then we start.
What,
Like-
what
like-
did you just say?
that's
Can we
what
just,
I'm saying,
can I
Becca.
just ask you all to slow down a second for me, because I wanna hear what Mariah just said.
I didn't really say anything, I just said like, we can't really do performing or adrenaline.
until we're done this.
Yeah, she's just mirroring what's going on.
And-
Yeah.
Okay, and it's okay for me to actually ask to hear that.
So I think that scene 8 and 9 is one. Like, I mean, it should just be one big scene of us getting that aha moment and saying like, okay, let's try it, let's be creative, whatever, and then let's get to the actual operational goals. You know what I mean? So it's like all one big scene.
So like a huge giant mega scene. Mr. Tickles comes in. Aha. We play, we tangle our web, and then we have kind of fun and real conversations untangling our web.
Yeah.
Okay, so part of it is like maybe my tangles can be untangled by having fun.
Just take that.
Becca's tangles can be untangled by having like, guys, this is how I'm feeling and I need it to get, I don't know, something like that. I know we keep bringing back to it. It's so funny how these things get magnified, but like it doesn't speak to. And then we, yes, and then we start going, okay, so now we're kind of in a circle. So if we did want to build a web, like if we were, we probably should get moving on this web thing.
Good idea.
Then we start tossing.
Where is that?
I think how he's got it.
Yeah, it's
Like
performing.
that it's a natural flow because that's how it felt.
Yeah.
Was like a natural flow from last time.
It was a
Because
long-
even at the end of last meeting, it's like Raina, you wrote on Facebook today. Oh, the last 40 minutes of the skit. Whoa, like amazing good work on skit stuff. So it was almost like a natural flow from that play.
Process game.
A natural flow from that play into us performing.
Like that.
Okay, but
Sorry.
so bringing Mr. Tickles happens, then we're like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. And then we're like, oh, like tangly, like playing around, and then we get real here, and we're like, okay, now we actually have to. Now that we're all like getting along and like we all kind of are on the same page, now we're gonna have to start making the web.
Yes.
I think a lot of it is ideas though, like you're saying that it should be untangled like with,
Well, I'm not sure. I just threw that out there.
Okay.
It can be much more simplified.
Yes, it
Yeah.
changes.
I think
Totally.
it's just gonna be us. It's the rejoining of our group to.
But we do need to make the web, and I think
Yes.
that right now we are making the
We are
web.
Yes.
So I think we have to go, okay, how are we gonna do this? Boom, 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 boom,
Doesn't
boom,
matter.
boom, 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 boom.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful mess.
And then-
No, exactly. No, that's totally perfect.
Yes.
And then like
Perfect.
and then I don't think we should have anything past that because we haven't gone there yet.
Okay, but wait,
Today, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
today.
but,
is
We might
this
have
scene,
no
this is
big
all
point.
scene 8?
well, we will have
Yes.
we're done
Yes,
like
okay.
finishing
Oh, yeah.
our skit.
And then, so of
We haven't
course,
done
then
that.
we need an Nathan scene.
Yes.
We need a Nathan scene.
He might be able to say, oh, this could have gone so much smoother if they would have
Done this
created more
earlier.
structure or, developed their norms a little bit
We
better.
could identify the pieces we missed. and
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But I think, so we have performing, which is us making the skit, and then, you're right, it's not done, but I think that we could end it there by being like, so as we saw here, this was a really individual case of how group works.
It's not
But-
though, by the
sorry?
way. It's not though, actually, by the way.
Okay,
It's not
but-
unique.
But like, this is a case of how groups
Unique
work
in this
together.
lab.
Sure. And
Yeah.
so
Unique in our.
and so
Yeah,
then we have Nathan saying,
Yeah.
just kind of summarizing everything. They did this, this, and this. These are the terms that we went through, because that way it just gives a nice like.
Really concrete theory.
Yes.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
says
To wrap
these
it
are the things that the
I disagree. I think
Stages?
This is
sorry what?
I think we need to,
I get what you're saying, but
Um,
let's talk about that. We can, if you want.
Let's come back to it. Yes.
And then so Nathan
Well,
has the slides.
Secure something
Let
up.
Becca finish, and
And
then we'll
Nathan
have
has the
this.
slides, and he goes, so norming, storming, forming, whatever, and then he goes, operational definitions, they started doing, like, here, when they did this, and so give examples, or we can even do a voiceover if you're more comfortable with that, depends, whatever you feel, and then I think that can just be the end.
I am in total agreement.
Let's see, I'm getting there.
So what I
We'll
think
see
is
what
that
happens after this next meeting. As Blair said, it's not a
We'll
meeting
be
yet,
doing
but this is good.
practicing probably the next time.
yeah, practicing would be
Yeah.
ideal. Yeah. Okay.
But I think, essentially, this is the web we've created.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
So-
brilliant.
If that, and then we end it by saying, that was how we created the web. So,
And it could end. You could have just a few lines, and then there could be a voiceover.
yeah.
Because I do think it would be better to have a voiceover just for Nathan, so that he's not stuck at the end holding this huge load of summarizing a
Yeah.
whole bunch of theory.
So maybe we have it come up on the screen, and he can say,
Professor Nathan went on to be published in blank, blank, blank. You know, for his work in forming, norming,
journal
storming,
entry.
being.
yeah.
You know what I mean? No, but for his
Yes.
for this groundbreaking experiment, which showed that forming, norming, and storming can actually happen. What if the word be? Not consecutively, but
Yes.
you know,
Non-literally.
non-linearly.
Challenge the theory.
Fun
Yeah,
fact,
like that. So
it's also now.
So instead of
Okay.
Nathan saying this is what happened, we say he went on to be published,
yes.
and then it says because this all happened and this is what happened in the experiment.
Yes.
So it's not him, but it's an over.
totally,
Okay.
and that would just help. I think relieve some of because I would not like to be
Yeah,
in the
totally.
space of having to sum up all the
So
theory.
then we have him saying.
And while that voiceover is happening, I think then we can also be in our little spider group holding our web
And like it's like a kind of a credits, like it's like
Yeah, the credits are rolling.
are running, and we're like,
A
oh my
unit.
gosh, what?
We're like a unit. Well, like
Yeah,
a
exactly.
Yeah, and we're all
exactly.
like singing Kumbaya or something.
not
We
quite.
could
But
sing. You can pick a song or no, actually, you guys can sing.
Okay.
Well, you pick
We
like
haven't been
singing. No, it's
guys,
true.
305, 305, and we have a very basic, but we have an outline,
Okay.
which will
love it.
change and which will, but it feels good. Just wait, are we done?
No,
Just wait.
one more thing. We
One
gotta
more thing.
allocate time for each scene.
Right. I don't think we know that yet though, because storming, we are gonna flesh that
No,
out.
no, no. I'm just saying, like it's as general as possible. We have like this.
20 minutes.
We have
Oh,
a
I
20-minute
see.
scene, so we just divvy it up.
Wait,
You
is it
know.
20 or 40?
20 to 30, I heard.
Let's
say.
take 30.
Is that
Or
right?
whatever.
Well, whatever, yeah, we can.
Let's say 20. Let's say 20, and then we'll
Shoot
put the
for
time.
20.
Then if it's longer, we're okay.
Yeah.
So,
So-
but these are the biggest chunks. Chapter 5 or
Chapter scene 5 and scene 8.
So scene 8 and scene 5 should be at least 6-7 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So 6 minutes each would be 12, which is
Or
fine.
7 minutes she's written, so say
Yeah.
14 minutes. Okay, so then we
14
really, it's like a
minutes.
minute per, which I think will be more than enough time, because actually, while it seems like, so for example, Nathan's scenes, I don't think are gonna be any longer than a minute. Right, like,
I think our scenes might take longer than a minute.
okay,
Just
so then,
because
so here we go, we're gonna go over
So
this,
let's-
yeah, you're right.
Let's go 2 minutes each for each scene. 2 minutes for each scene.
So this has to be flexible, you guys. and we
Of
practice
course,
it.
of course.
No, this is just.
It's just, I think Lear needs
The
to have a bit of, yeah,
It's
this
just
is what we're
it's better
doing.
to be concrete like
Yeah.
this, because then later on when we're actually doing the scenes, we have like a little bit of a limit on ourselves, so we don't like.
Yeah, so
go
that,
too much.
I agree, so that if we're spending 5 minutes trying to fit in all the details of scheduling, we realize, okay, this isn't realistic. We need to spend more time on what really happened. 11 plus 14, 25.
25.
Right in the middle, sounds good. Okay.
That's 1 minute each.
Brilliant.
Or
Two-
And
one to-
2
one to
1
2
to 2 minutes each.
And then if everyone wants to take pictures, or I'll just put this on.
Yeah, that would be, I'm gonna take a picture, because I'm gonna try to,
I'd love it if you're comfortable putting it up. Rebecca, because I'm actually not that good with technology and I often mess it up.
Yes, I can do that.
Hey, you have an iPhone 5, why don't you just take a pen around?
I don't even know how to do that.
But-
Yeah, somebody can do that.
But it's okay.
You have
But
to
then,
move
yeah,
the-
can you move the, yeah. Okay.
No, you just click it. You just click it and you can't do it that way. You have to do it the other way.
Keep it in line.
Why?
You're not doing it.
What?
Hey, Mom, why the memo on?
What?
Oh. Okay, I think. Yeah, like that. That's not, yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's how you. What?
Spoken in a different language.
What do you, why?
I'm going. Like I'm getting a ride.
Oh, you just made a call.
Yeah.
You were talking.
Yeah,
That's the goal. I want to add to that.
I don't like that though. It's too.
And is the means goal combined?
It's too long.
It's too.
what I
It's
say.
weird looking.
Just one of those.
But you can use it on the phone. But Raina's not going to be able to do that on the computer.
Huh?
Okay, I'm just going to take individual pictures.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll put the panel up for you, but
No, it's
You
fine.
know,
I'm just
Becca.
saying it's easy. It's
Appreciate that, Becca.
Okay, guys, and this, okay, so if Becca can't be here, we shouldn't meet, because I think this next meeting will probably
Yeah.
be, sorry, I'm talking about, I should have
Might
prefaced
be
that
the
by
last
saying,
one, won't it?
well, no, I think we should try to meet twice.
It would be
I do
nice.
too, there's no way we could.
Especially because I
Yeah.
think in the meantime, this week, we'll put up these photos, and I will put up, if everybody can write down their email address before they leave, and I will share a Google Doc with you, so
I'm
that we
gonna
can.
do that anyway, so
I'll
just
email you
start
my
it.
email.
No, you start it and I'll, okay, do that and
So,
start it and then I'll write up all these notes, all the
wait,
notes I took,
this-
scene 1 through 9.
This is what we said last time. All you guys are gonna write the script, and me and Mariah are gonna have input a little bit, and we're gonna do the PowerPoint and stuff, right?
So I don't know, like you can put in whatever input you want or don't want to, this, between now and the next meeting, okay? Like, cause we're gonna make a Google Doc. So if you have an idea or you feel like we've missed something somewhere, put it in.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to know exactly what's gonna be on, I don't think that we'll know exactly what's gonna be on all the
Oh, that's fine.
PowerPoints until maybe another meeting where we discuss what's gonna be on the
The
PowerPoint.
concepts and such.
Yeah,
Okay.
So-
You could also start another Google Doc that
that is a
kind of
PowerPoint.
starts to address the things that might be on the
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
yeah,
Well,
you're
that-
right. Or under Nathan's scenes.
Yes, because Nathan's got some good ideas.
Yes,
They
you're
all
right,
have
okay.
good
The
ideas.
PowerPoints are just gonna have the concepts on them.
Yeah.
So we have that from the book, and it doesn't have to be in order because it's gonna be hyperlinked. So it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, we
So
can
we'll
get
just-
that going.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be hyperlinked. I don't think that
You can adjust
Nathan
that.
said he wasn't super comfortable.
You
He'd
guys
rather
can
have it be
have
next, is what I
Oh, okay.
understood from what he
But like,
said.
we can do, but like,
If you got it.
No, it's really.
I'd rather
like,
delegate.
Yeah, totally. You'd have to talk to Nathan about it because he's the one who's gonna be operating it, right?
Well, yeah, we can just.
when
I mean, we
is
can
it
just
back
take it
in
off.
town?
Like if like I'll just make it like that, and then.
So all you have to do is click next.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, but I'll make it with hyperlinks,
Maybe I'll
and then if he
send it.
doesn't like it, I'll just take off the hyperlinks.
Oh, sure.
I'm back at 3.
Yeah.
It's like literally the
Would you
hyperlinks
make
are
it
like
like
this.
that?
Like,
I know that's a lot to
Like, how's it?
ask, but is there a way?
Just a
to-
second, sorry. I think, can we just
Try
plan
to
our,
get back to schedule.
yes, yeah, I think we should stick on scheduling here.
I'm leaving on Thursday, late, and then I'm back on Sunday afternoonish.
next
Sunday,
Thursday, next
the,
week.
what would that be?
Seventh.
Do
The
you need to
7th.
think about if you need the space to kind of blend, or
But this-
can you be here?
I'm good.
This weekend I can't go at all. I'm in Vancouver for the
Oh,
whole
you-
weekend.
Okay,
The
so
whole
the
weekend.
7th you couldn't, okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm in
Sunday.
Vancouver.
Okay.
When can everybody else?
Oh, Sunday's the 8th.
Yeah, we need to.
Okay,
That's
so that
okay, I
won't
just
work.
want
Okay,
to-
how about Friday, March the 13th? Because that's, your thing will be done, right? So we could
Yes.
meet earlier than 4:30?
He meant-
And that was like a day we originally had said we could do it. Will that work for
I'm gonna-
people?
I dropped this class, so I'm open with anything else. I just can't do this weekend.
Just this weekend, okay. So,
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go.
so
now.
the 6th, 7th, 8th, okay, we can
So you're saying
finish.
Just tell me when
We'll
you.
put it up on Facebook
Yeah,
and you can,
Just tell me it's okay. for
Yeah.
me,
And you will be here.
Sorry.
Because you don't respond, so I just want to confirm that if we put it up, you'll show up. Which
Oh,
is
yeah,
not.
of course.
yeah,
Just because I don't see it, I'm like, is he coming?
No, but
But he said so in the class.
yeah.
He did.
No, I know, I just, cause I thought like our conversation, I was like, oh no, like is everybody?
We
Yeah,
did it
you just
already,
said
like we had it.
Right, okay.
Sorry, I gotta go pick him up from the airport.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye guys.
Bye, Mariah. Bye, Lear.
Yeah.
See
Oh,
ya.
I'm tired.
So we might have to work, meet
Um,
twice that weekend, because that's the weekend before our class.
So either we need to meet,
14?
Twice what week?
no,
No,
twice
we'll
that
have to
week
figure
you
that
mean,
out.
cause I don't know if we could. So if we met on Friday the 13th, and then maybe we also met on Sunday the 15th,
I would love that personally.
maybe we could manage that. Becca, how do you feel about that?
Um.
I know it's a lot.